Good morning, everyone. I would like to call today's regular county council meeting on February 12th to order at 9:32 a.m. We will start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge Athabasca County is located on First Nations Treaty 6 and Treaty 8 traditional territory. We respect and honor all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples' connection to these lands, their history, language, and culture. Due to the Tumbler Ridge tragedy, we would like to take a moment of silence, if we may, please. Thank you. Our hearts go out to everyone impacted. So we have Councillor Hall visiting with us or joining us today with via Zoom, and Councillor Kapitanik may be joining via Zoom later today. We are at the approval of the agenda on 2.1. Do we have any additions, deletions, or corrections anyone would like to bring forward? I do understand we will be adding 8.2 event calendar, 8.3 the councillor meeting calendars, and we will be making a change, just the reference from 12.2 MOU to land, from what I understand. And go ahead, please, Councillor Kapitani.
Willing to approve. Councillor Hall had his hand up.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hall.
So two things. I would like to add to closed session intergovernmental relations under 26.1 IMC discussion.
And that would be 12.4.
Yeah, or in between 12.2 and 3, whatever you.
Understood. Yeah. So we'll make it 12.3 IMC, and 12.3 will become 12.4. The 12.3.
And then the other thing, again, I would make a motion that we delete minutes of other organization from our agenda packages, specifically because our agenda is not the proper storage place for minutes of boards and other bodies. It's the section's called reports, and all members attending other meetings are welcome to submit reports of the relevant and critical happenings at those events.
Okay, I appreciate that. I know as we had conversation the last meeting regarding adding those items into our report section, we found that it is very beneficial not only to give the information to the public, which our agendas are also for, that information is given to them, as they can't see that anywhere else. So that's my personal opinion, but I think we'll, if we don't have any more changes, we'll do the two different motions here with regards to the deletion. If we can start there. There's a motion from Councillor Hall to delete the minutes from the reports section of our agenda. Is there any discussion? If we're ready for that vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, and those opposed? We have 6, so that fails. With regards to the additions that we made and the change to the agenda, is there a motion there? Councillor Kapitaniak, or pardon, always look for you. Councillor Kapitaniak is right next to me. Councillor Chamzik, pardon me, would like to make the, go forward with the motion for the additions and the correction to the agenda as mentioned. If all those are ready for the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
No worries, thank you. Any opposed? Okay, those additions and changes are going forward. Now at the point of the agenda, we'll go around the table for councillors to select the items they wish to debate. So far, what I know of course, we're dealing with 2.1, 3.1, 4.1, 4.2, 5.1, 5.3, 6.1 through 6.4, 7.3, 8. 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3. And I believe all closed session items 12.1 through 12.4. Does anyone else have anything else they would like to add for debate?
We had 7.2.
7.2, Councillor Hall, thank
But if
you.
you bear with me one moment, I will look at why.
Sorry, I heard 7.2. Was there a further?
No, yes, 7.2, please.
Okay, 7.2. Anyone else? All right. Councillor Chamzik would like to approve the agenda as discussed. All those in favor? Are there any opposed?
No,
Nay.
I,
Okay, 2 opposed, 7-4. We move forward. Thank you.
It'd be 7 and 2, just to have the math correct.
Did I? Sorry, 7-2. I'm not sure what I said, but
7
no,
and
we
4.
had
which would
7-3
make a
actually
number.
because Councillor Callahoo voted against, correct? You were opposed or you were in favor? Oh, pardon me, 7-2. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, just a quick mention on the minutes. It's just a small, tiny little typo, and I understand where they come from for a symbol, but on page 5, CC 26-47, second last bullet point, the little symbol there just should be an E, just for notes on that one. So if I could get a motion on the approval of the minutes. Deputy Reeve Mins would like to approve the minutes as discussed. All those in favor, as amended, pardon me, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
nay,
Okay, that is 8 and 1. All righty. So we will go right into our public hearing, which is 4.1 on your agenda. So we're ready for that. So good morning, everyone. And thank you for attending the public hearing regarding bylaw 003-2026, land use bylaw amendment for lot 1, block 1, plan 1020781, from light industrial M1 district to heavy industrial M2 district in the hamlet of Wandering River. I'm Tracy Holland, Reeve for Athabasca County and Division 5 Councillor, and I will be the chair of the hearing. On behalf of council, I would like to welcome you all here today. Before we begin, I don't think we have any members of the public and we don't have anybody here on Zoom, correct? Okay, so I don't think we need to do introductions, but again, joining us via Zoom would be Councillor Hall and Councillor Kapitaniak. The secretary of the public hearing is Bob Beck, who is the CAO for Athabasca County. Also joining us from administration is our recording secretary, Tammy Plurt, our communications coordinator, Angela Kazmerchuk, got it. Director of Community and Protective Services, Krista Wilkinson, Planning and Development Manager, Diane Cloutier, and our Finance Director, Jeff Daly. I don't believe we have anybody that has zipped in here on Zoom. So I will call the public hearing for bylaw 003-2026 open at 9:40 a.m. And I will turn the floor over to Secretary Bob Beck to announce the purpose of this hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this public hearing is for Athabasca Council of the County to hear testimony from interested parties. It is not meant to be a debate between presenters, and all comments must be directed to council through the chairperson. Only one person may speak at a time, and each person wishing to provide input to council will have the opportunity to do so. The ground rules of the hearing and the order of speaking will be: Planning and Development Manager Diane Cloutier will speak first to outline the background and provide an explanation of the bylaw. Members of the public who are wishing to be heard will be given the opportunity to speak. Ms. Cloutier will be given the opportunity to present closing remarks or address any of the issues presented. Councillors will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Council will then end the public hearing and will later consider the information received at the public hearing. Council will only consider matters raised at the hearing. Any councillors may ask questions of speakers during the hearing. If any persons want to ask questions of a speaker, they must ask the chair to ask the question on their behalf during their presentation, and the chair will only ask a question if the chair wishes to have an answer in order to undertake its consideration.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. So today's public hearing is for bylaw 003/2026. Council granted first reading on January 8th, 2026. And this is a bylaw to amend the land use bylaw to redistrict Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 1020781 from the light industrial district to heavy industrial district. The parcel is located on the west side of the hamlet of Wanding River and is approximately 8 acres in size. Access to Lot 1 is from Township Road 720. Letters providing information of today's public hearing were mailed to the 2 adjacent landowners on January 21st. In addition, email notification was circulated to our internal departments, utility companies, and agencies that may be affected by the proposed rezoning. The following responses were received. Alberta Forestry and Parks had no concerns with the bylaw amendment. Apex Utility had no objection to the proposed bylaw amendment. Fortis Alberta had no concerns, and TELUS had no concerns with the proposed activity. The notice of today's public hearing was advertised in the January 27th and February 3rd editions of the Town and Country, as well as it was placed on the county's website starting the week of January 26th. Public hearing is required under Section 216 and Section 692 of the Municipal Government Act, as it provides an opportunity for council to hear comments on the proposed bylaw before making a decision.
Thank you very much. Does the council have any questions or points of clarification they wish to ask Ms. Cloutier?
Yes.
Councillor Kahalik, please.
Do we know what type of development is coming in there other than industrial?
Madam Chair, members of council, at this time, we do not have a development permit proposed, but we do have, when we spoke to the applicant, the heavy industrial, the uses listed under that was what best suited what they were proposing for the area. So until we have an actual development permit, we don't really have a knowledge of what's going there.
I had some concerns from individuals in the residential area in Wandering River about the leaching, but I guess we can discuss that when we get the permit or apply.
Correct, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'm sorry, I missed it when it meant to be the written materials that have been submitted. They've been placed online on the agenda as well, or have there been any written?
Sorry, Madam Chair, members of council, the responses that were received, copies have been given to administration.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any? Go ahead, please, Councillor Stasia.
Yeah, I do actually. When we first started talking about this, it reminded me that further down on our agenda package on page 164 of 254, there is another application here for area structure plan being changed. And I had some concerns there. And now when I relate that to this, I'm wondering if this shouldn't be brought to our attention a little bit more closely, because we have some residential going on right there. And how is that going to affect later on? So I don't want to combine the two at this point to confuse it, but at the same time, I'm not sure if council is going to be excited about zoning it to heavy industrial based on what the up and coming proposal is going to be. If that makes sense.
It does, but unfortunately we can't.
No, I understand that. It's just, I just wanted to clarify though, if this would be the right move at this point.
Okay. And if I may ask, I don't believe in this particular request that the area structure plan would need to be amended.
Correct, Madam Chair.
Okay, so there is in the current area structure plan provisions for this to be a heavy industrial. Okay, that's from what I understand. Okay, Councillor Chisholm, please.
Madam Chair, it's already deemed a light industrial, so I mean, it's just an upgrade to our heavy.
As a point of order, Madam Chair. Public hearings are about allowing for input from affected parties and should not, the recommendation from Brownlee is that they're not used for councillors to express their opinions on the development or justify the thing. I just worry that we're getting off course. We're here to hear from affected parties on the decision that's going to be in front of us.
I understand, Councillor Hall, and thank you. But we are at the session of, at the portion of this session where councillors may ask for clarification questions to our administration. So if you do have a clarification question, which I think you did, just trying to understand what those two different M1 and M2 mean. Is that what you were looking for?
Well, I was just clarifying, it's already a like M1, so it's a light industrial, moving to a heavy industrial. We don't know exactly what they're proposing, but it's already deemed as an M1, so yeah, just making that point.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. I think it too as well, when I have a question with regards to the M2. If the district is changed to M2, districting changed to M2, M1, can it, any M1 type uses fall under M2? I didn't compare them well enough and I just popped it into my mind that can M1 uses be used under M2?
Madam Chair, members of council, we will be discussing this later on, but on page 20 and 22 of the agenda package, there is a copy of the districts there with the uses. So there are some items that are listed in the M1 light industrial that are not in the M2 and vice versa.
Okay, thank you. All righty, does council have any other questions for administration? Go ahead, please, Deputy Reed Mans.
Thank you. So there was no input from the area residents regarding this at all?
No, we don't have any written submissions from the public.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Go ahead, please, Councillor Dowling.
Yes, however, I did get some concerns, but not in writing. Yeah.
Okay, and they're not here today, so I think if we have, is there any further questions for administration? We don't have anybody here from the public who wishes to speak. So we can go forward to ask again if there's any further questions of administration or staff. And if not, I will ask, does anyone feel they have not been fairly heard, even though we don't have a public here? Just want to make sure council is satisfied. Okay. We are coming to the end. Being that there is no further testimony, I will close the public hearing, and that I further advise council cannot receive any further information on this matter. Thank everybody for attending this public hearing, and I declare this public hearing closed at 9:50 a.m. And I think now it's a little bit different than how we've done it in the past, but before we go on to our 4.2, we will deal with the administrative report on page 12 of your agenda, which is item 4.1. So this is the administrative report for the public hearing we just heard. And it is to give second reading of bylaw 003/2026 land use bylaw amendment for lot 1, block 1, plan 1020781 from light industrial M1 district to heavy industrial M2 district. And to give third reading and final reading of bylaw 003/2026. So I think we've mentioned it, but I will turn the floor over to Ms. Boucher to discuss the administrative report. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. I don't want to repeat myself because we just had the public hearing with most of the information, but I just wanted to highlight and recognize that Lot 1 is within the growth node policy area according to map 5 of our municipal development plan. This overlay represents existing concentration of commercial, light and heavy industrial development and in areas of the county where council has identified having growth potential. Also, figure 8 of the Hamlet of Wandering River Community Plan, which we consider our area structure plan for that area, identifies this area for future heavy industrial development. So the proposed redistricting does align with both the area structure plan, the community plan, and the municipal development plan.
Thank you very much. The floor is open for discussion. Does council have any questions, concerns that they'd like to bring forward? So I guess I have a question with regards to this, being that we don't have a development permit. There's no point in really discussing the grading and the drainage or anything of the sort, correct? Okay, very good. So folks, if we don't have anybody, go ahead, please, Councillor Chamsick.
Just for clarification, that would be all conditions within the permit itself.
If there's a development one that comes forward, I'm thinking that'd be addressed then, yeah. I don't see any hands up on the screen. So I guess if someone would like to go forward to give second reading of bylaw 003/2026, Councillor Chisholm would like to move that council give second reading of bylaw 003/2026, land use bylaw amendment for lot 1, block 1, plan 1020781 from light industrial M1 district to heavy industrial M2 district. If we're ready for the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any opposed? So that has passed 9-0. So we are at the point of the third and final reading for this particular bylaw 003/2026. Is there discussion? Okay, well, I will have a quick comment at this point. I do have a concern with regards to moving to heavy industrial when it is so very close to the residents in the hamlet. I understand that the area structure plan from 2013 says it's all good, that this is part of the growth node. However, when I look at the GIS map and when I look at the proximity it is to the homes, I just really honestly think that the quality of life in the hamlet for those particular residences would be impacted. So I do have that concern. And at this point, I'm not in favor of the third reading, but that's just my personal opinion. Anyone else? Go ahead, please, Councillor Stacey.
I just want to reiterate what I had said earlier, and I agree with you. I do have concerns about it, and I know the process now, but just for future reference later in the day, I'm sorry, but I can't support it. Third reading.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, please, Councillor DeHoller.
Yeah, I've looked at that too, but I look at the distance between that area and the residential area. I think we got enough space in there, but I know what you guys are saying, but I'm going to continue supporting this.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, do we have a motion? Would you like to? Okay, Councillor DeHollick would like to give third and final reading of bylaw 003/2026 land use bylaw amendment for lot 1, block 1, plan 1020781 from light industrial M1 district to heavy industrial M2 district.
Can we have a recorded vote, please?
Sure. Recorded vote. If we're ready for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Councillor Hall,
Aye.
Councillor Kapitaniak, Councillor DeHollick, Councillor Callahoo, Councillor Chisholm, Deputy Reeve Binns, slowly coming in. All right, and anybody opposed? Councillor Chamsick, Reeve Holland, and Councillor Stasiak. So that passes 6-3. Thank you. So now we will go to 4.2 and we will enter into our second public hearing of today. Just give me a moment here while I reorganize. All right. Okay, so we're at 4.2. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending the public hearing regarding bylaw 004, 2026, road closure adjacent and east of Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 1120217. I don't believe we have anyone on Zoom, so we don't need to go through our introductions. Once again, the secretary of the public hearing is Bob Beck, who is the CAO of Athabasca County. Joining us from administration is our recording secretary, Tammy Plord, our communications coordinator, Angela Kazmerchuk, a director of community and protected services, Krista Wilkinson, planning and development manager, Diane Cloutier. We have finance director, Jeff Daly, and we have our infrastructure director, Marshall Morton. We also have on Zoom, Councillor Hall and Councillor Kapitaniak. The public hearing for bylaw 004, 2026 is now open at 9:57, and I will turn over the floor to Secretary Bob Beck to announce the purpose of the hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this public hearing is for Athabasca Council of the County to hear testimony from interested parties. It is not meant to be a debate between presenters, and all comments must be directed to council through the chair. Only one person may speak at a time, and each person wishing to provide input to council will have the opportunity to do so. The following procedure will be followed. Planning and Development Manager Diane Cloutier will speak first to outline the background and provide an explanation of the bylaw. Members of the public who are wishing to be heard will be given the opportunity to speak. Ms. Cloutier will be given the opportunity to present closing remarks or address any of the issues presented. Councillors will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Council will then end the public hearing and will later consider the information received at the public hearing. Council will only consider matters raised at the hearing. Only councillors may ask questions of speakers during the hearing. If any persons want to ask questions of a speaker, they must ask the chair to ask the question on their behalf during the presentation. And the chair will only ask the question if the chair wishes to have an answer in order to undertake its consideration.
Thank you very much, Secretary and CAO Bob Beck. I would like to ask now from Director Wilkinson or Ms. Cloutier to provide background and explanation of the proposed bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. The purpose of bylaw 004, 2026 is to close a portion of undeveloped road allowance that is no longer required for the traveling public. The undeveloped road allowance is located on the east side of Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 1120217. And this road closure process started in February 2025 with bylaw 006, 2025. First reading was granted in July, and a public hearing was held on August 28th. During the initial referral of this file, letters were mailed to affected agencies and adjacent landowners within 100 meters of the undeveloped road allowance, and that was done on March 3rd of 2025. The following responses were received. Alberta Forestry and Parks did not support the road closure as it wanted to protect Amisk Lake from future encroachment and support the ACA conservation area. Apex Utility, the right-of-way is required, a right-of-way agreement is required, and that was submitted to the county for signatures. ATCO Electric had no concerns as it is outside their service area. Fortis Alberta had no concerns. The Federation of Alberta Gas Co-op had no concerns as it was outside of their franchise area, and TELUS Communication had no concerns. Unfortunately, with the timing of submitting the bylaw to the minister for their review, and with the elections that we held in October, we did lose quorum and we were not able to continue on with the 2025 bylaw. So that's why we're here today with bylaw 004, 2026. This bylaw received first reading on January 8th, and notices were mailed to adjacent landowners on January 22nd, as well as notice placed in the January 27th and February 3rd Town and Country newspaper. It was also placed on the county's website starting the week of January 26th. The proposed road closure will not affect access to neighboring properties as access is achieved through the Northeast 286418 through an access easement. The undeveloped road allowance that runs north and south could provide access to two properties. And so our infrastructure services, planning and the landowners worked together, and we agreed not to close the first 65 meters from the north part of that parcel. And that's just to protect the road
Good, how are you?
allowance. Okay. Okay, so it allows the county, if we ever do need to use that road allowance for future road, we have that 65 meters protected that would provide sufficient access if needed.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Do we have any written submissions? No, no written submissions on this one. So at this point, does council have any questions or points of clarification they wish to ask Ms. Cloutier? Doesn't, Councillor DeHollick?
Yeah, I'm a little confused here. So that road closure would become the property of the big parcel?
Madam Chair, members of council, if the road closure is successful, it would be consolidated with what lot 1.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stacia?
Through the chair, just for clarification, who opposed or had a concern about it and what was it?
Madam Chair, members of council, it was Alberta Forestry and Public Lands. And their concern was that they did not support the road closure to protect Amisk Lake from future encroachment and support the ACA conservation area.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Deputy Reedmans?
Through the chair, the reason, can you give us a reason why this road closure has come forward?
Madam Chair, members of council, so administration had been working with the landowner for, I believe, a few years now with some structures that were very close to the property line and perhaps even within that road allowance. And so when we brought that forward to the applicant, their proposal, their request was to close the road allowance so that they could do some proper fire mitigation, fire smart mitigation, and it would also address those structures.
I guess through the chair, I have one more question. Can those structures be moved?
Not easily.
But they could be.
Well, any structure can be moved. But, you know, if it was a structure on skids, we would have already asked them to move it. I believe the one structure's on piles or stilts or something. Yeah. So, I mean, like any structure can be moved, but it's not on a movable foundation, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor DeHollick?
So is that area next to that road closure, that's a reserve between that and the lake, right?
Madam Chair, members of council, if we go to page 29 of the agenda, so the area of the road to be closed is highlighted in yellow. The parcel to the east is Crown land, so.
So how about the one to the west?
That is there is a conservation easement on that parcel.
So why doesn't it extend further west? The reserve, it just comes to an end at that would-be property line if it's changed.
So the parcel that's to the east between the road allowance and the lake, that sliver of land is Crown land.
Right, okay, but
And
how
then-
about south? I mean, it'd be west. That's what I'm talking about.
So to the west of the road allowance, we have lot 1, block 1. And then we also have the northeast of 286418, which is currently a Alberta Conservation Association easement or lease.
Okay, oh, so that's who it belongs to, so then they don't require a reserve to the lake, along the lake?
Only at the time of subdivision, when the lands were surveyed, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, there weren't reserves taken. The only time we take reserves is at the time of subdivision since about 1978 or 1980, somewhere in there.
Okay, so I'm still confused. The land between, okay, the road closure and the lake, that sliver. Okay, what is that? East of, it'll be, I guess it'd be south of the road allowance.
Madam Chair, it's just Crown land.
It's just Crown land.
It's
Oh,
not
so-
reserve.
Oh, I thought it was a
It's not reserve. It's
Okay,
Crown
I'm
land.
sorry. Yeah, okay, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions? Since we don't have any members of the public here, to ask if they have been fairly heard or if they would like to give further discussion, I guess what we can go forward through and just make sure that everybody who wishes to have spoken. Any questions have been answered. We're at that point. Go ahead, please, Deputy
One
Minton.
more through the chair. I guess conservation easements, how long do they last for?
Madam Chair, members of council, it is a caveat on that title, so it's there until someone discharges it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Last chance, folks. I don't see any hands up on the screen.
And
Oh, please
I
go
ask a
ahead.
point of clarification on that. Is it in this particular instance a caveat on the title, or did the title transfer to the Alberta Conservation Association?
Sorry, Madam Chair, members of council. So the title is with the Alberta Conservation, sorry, I don't have the right. Alberta Conservation Association, and they do have an access easement caveat on the title.
Thank you.
And the access easement gets us into the residential site. That's its entire purpose, but the land around is owned by the Conservation Association.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other further questions? One last chance here, folks. Okay. Well, being that there is no further testimony and no further questions, I will close the public hearing at 10:09. And I further advise the council cannot receive any further information on this matter. Thank you for attending the public hearing. It is now closed and we will take a slight recess, I think, folks, if we could, just for 5 minutes, please. We'll return at 10:15. Good to go. Awesome. Thank you so much. We're back from our recess. We are at 4.2 of our agenda package, which is page 23. This is the administrative report from the public hearing we just had. And the recommendation here on the road closure for bylaw 004 2026 is to send the forward this road closure bylaw to the Minister of Transportation for approval. And I will turn the floor over to Ms. Cloutier if you'd like to discuss the administrative report, please.
Sure, Madam Chair, members of council. So not much more information to add from the public hearing. From what you heard, just highlighting the process that for road closures, obviously they're done through bylaw. We do have to have a public hearing, and following the public hearing, all the information, including the ads, notices on the website, any submissions, that and the bylaw goes to the minister's office and they review it. If they sign it and it is returned back to the county, this bylaw will come back to council to consider second and third reading. So even if the minister grants it approval, it still has to come back to council. And then only once third reading is given, will it then be finalized. So I just wanted to highlight that process for you.
Awesome. Thank you. That actually answered one of my questions. Yeah, I did want to know if the minister approved it, is it mandatory then that we go forward? So apparently not. We can still make that decision here at the council level. Okay. So is everybody good to go with the, okay, Councillor Stacey.
Thank you, through the chair. Is the primary purpose of this to address the encroachment? Or is there some other reason that this applicant applied for this?
Madam Chair, members of council, it was a choice from the landowner to apply, and in their application, they had marked on there to do proper fire smart principles. There is some encroachment in there, some structures, but their main purpose of requesting the road closure was to be able to do fire smart principles on site.
Can you explain that to me, please? Fire smart.
Well, currently, as it is, it's a government road allowance in the care of the county, so they're not allowed to clear it and do selective brush underbrush cleaning. So if they end up owning the parcel, then they can clean up around there and clean up the underbrush so that the fire risk is lower.
So can they not, with permission from the municipality, clear it accordingly?
With appropriate permission, yes.
Go ahead, please.
Another question would be, can we address this process here with an easement of some sort as opposed to a closure? Like by going ahead with this, we're relinquishing any authority on that property or on that portion of the road allowance. Is that probably the best course of action, or would an easement solve the same issue?
Madam Chair, members of council, so in our undeveloped road allowance, through the county's licensing policy, we can issue licensing for agriculture purposes. We can also issue permission to clear and brush to allow for public access, like walking trails and stuff on right-of-ways, but we cannot allow for structures. We can't enter into an easement or a license. That would have to be close the road, and that's to ensure that if there's a structure in the road allowance, that someone's not going on there and having an accident, and then once it's closed, the liability then is the landowner and no longer the county's responsibility.
Thank you, Councillor DeHollick.
So is the property or the house legally located on that property, or is it too close to the property line? Is
The house is fine. It's just it's a accessory structure that's encroaching onto the road allowance.
okay, thank you.
Okay, is there any other counselor that has a question? I don't see any hands up on the screen. So would someone like to put forward the motion? Counselor Callahan would like to move to direct administration to forward road closure bylaw 004 2026 to the Minister of Transportation for approval. If we are ready for the vote, all those in favor
Aye.
and opposed? We have two. Counselor Hall, I'm sorry, I didn't catch yours.
Aye. In
Aye.
favor.
Okay, 7 and 2. Thank you. Okay, 4.2. So we are now moving on to 5.1, which is the 2026 operating and capital budgets. Right, page 30 of your agenda package. We did have a handout on our desks for a replacement of what was in the original agenda. Did Councillor Hall and Councillor Capitania get copies of those? Okay, Councillor Hall and Capitania, Councillor Capitania, you will be receiving via email the item 5.1 that was amended and will be replacing what's currently in the agenda. Can you let us know when you receive it, please? And in the meantime, the recommendation here, of course, is that council approve the amended 2026 operating and capital budget as listed here on the administrative report. But for now, Jeff, pardon me, Director Daly, if you would like to go forward and discuss the report, that would be great, please.
Madam Chair, members of council. Basically what we're bringing forward today, January 8th, we approved the interim budget. So since January 8th, these changes that's listed there are just changes that we made. So we don't really anticipate any other changes to the 2026 budget other than once we get our assessment. I mean, there may be some changes with that, but we just figured we'd bring these changes because these changes kind of affects our budget immediately. So we just wanted to bring them forward today for council consideration approval. Thank you.
Thank you. And just in case Councillor Hall and Councillor Capitanic haven't received it yet, we'll mention those changes. The capital portion is to increase in loan a cost of new building for 500,000, purchase of land for 568,000. Under operating, the increase in line, the GL code ending 2755 is 135,632. There's an increase in the GL code 1930 for 2,141,217. Same in the increase in line 2990. GL code for 2,141,217. Would council like to discuss? Go ahead, please.
Are there provisions, this is just for clarity through the chair, in the event that something comes up in the future, is there provisions in there for those changes in the budget? Or is this, by approving this right now, this is locking it in, sort of? But I will use the example of somewhere's in this agenda package, I seen a need for an additional, is it 49,000 or 29,000 added to this year's budget? A shortfall, somewhere's in here.
Yeah.
And so something like that is just for clarification. Does that affect this, approving this?
That would be in addition to, Madam Chair. So after you approve the interim budget, all the way up until final budget, and you approve the mill rate in late April, early May, you can amend the budget. Things come up, we get new information. We don't know all the costs from the province for certain things. We really don't get all our financial information from others until the end of February, right? February 28th is basically when we get all our information, including our final assessment. So all the way up until final budget, adjustments are made. These are the ones we know about today, and we have to issue checks for right now. Because there are decisions that have already been made. So, for example, that purchase of that land, council gave us direction to move forward with that on the November meeting of 2025. So we did. It technically doesn't show up in the budget for 2026. So we're asking for it to be shown in the budget, and it's from reserves, so it doesn't affect the mill rate. So you'll see after interim budget, there are still adjustments to the final budget.
Awesome, thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions? Counselor Hall, Counselor Kapitanic, were you able to see the changes to the 5.1 administrative report?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm not sure if Counselor Kapitanic. She may not be there at this time. Okay, so.
I'm
is any-
here. It's really hard to mute back and forth on my phone, so it's all
Oh,
good. Don't worry.
okay, good, thank you. All right, awesome. So does council have any further discussion? If not, would someone like to make the motion? Counselor Chamzik would like to move that council approves the amended 2026 operating and capital budget as listed, as presented in 5.1. If we're ready for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None. Thank you. 9-0. Perfect. We are moving to 5.3, I believe it was. I don't think we chose 5.2, correct? Five point three is going to be lively. So 5.3 is the draft policy 3405, the dust suppression, page 40 of your agenda package. We have had a prior discussion on this. There have been further changes made to the draft policy, and I will turn it over to Director Marshall. Morton.
Morning, Mr. Chairman and Council. So yeah, previously we had discussed this at the Community of the Whole, and we had received some feedback from Council, direction on what you wanted to see in the policy. So we believe we've captured the, I guess, desires of the committee in this draft, and open to any questions, I guess, as well as, you know, some of the request was to leave the funding model as it is, that remove the 250-meter setback, which had been put in the previous draft, and to add in the old list that had existed in prior to the change in 2024. So that list has been added. Basically, by adding those roads in, not considering any additional applications that come in this year, because we have no idea how many people will apply. We're estimating that this would have a $49,000 impact on the current budget, plus any additional applicants that may choose to take advantage of a $200 dust suppression program.
Awesome, thank you. I know personally I spent a lot of time going over this one, and we might want to suggest a few more changes that might be beneficial that you might like. But I'll turn it over to the floor here. Councillor DeHollick, please.
Is there provisions to allow us to spend more money during the summer if it's a really dusty year? I know last year was terrible. I'm going to mention the Plamondon connector, where parts of it should have really been had some calcium or something on it. So I'm just wondering if you got maybe a contingency or a few extra bucks in case it is dusty like that.
Through the chair, the short answer is no. There is no contingency in place. However, last year we did go over budget. There's some sections, especially in a year that was as dry as last year, that did not hold up very well because of a lot of traffic and a lack of moisture. Now we do what we can. We send out water trucks and we spray them, try and get them reactivated. you can only do that so often. So there's a cost to that. Every time we send out the water truck, we have to bill it out. So we were over budget last year, but there is no contingency fund in place for that. But a significant undertaking like Clemondon Connector, I would recommend that be dealt with as a standalone project and funded separately, not necessarily under this. That's just my perspective.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Stacey.
Need some clarification and understanding this. Earlier, the dust suppression from, I'm assuming last year was 549,000. And now we budgeted 694,000. Was that because of the changes of the roads that we would have added? Is that what changed it from 549 to 694?
Through the chair, the vast majority of that is a significant uptake in applications. So, you know, if our cost is $1,100 to $1,200 per location, and we're billing people $200, every time somebody applies, that costs us $900. So last year, I believe we topped out at 389 applicants. That was a significant increase. We're anticipating a significant increase this year as people become more aware of I guess, how cheap the program is and how dry it's been in the summer. More people are trying to take advantage of it.
So the additional 49,000, I'm assuming, is because there are even more people applying than we anticipated?
No, sorry. For clarity, the 49 is not include, any additional applicants. That is the addition of the list that had previously been removed. We did do a number of the roads that were on this list, obviously, or it would be way more than 49,000.
Okay.
So once we added the list back in that was requested during the committee meeting, that is where the 49,000 came from. Was the addition of these roads on the list.
Okay.
That had previously been removed in 2024. But we were still doing them.
Right.
Some of them.
So question to council, is it of any interest to maybe visit the cost per applicant to pick up that 49,000 and hold that budget at 694? Is there any interest there? And like, I don't know how it would affect each applicant to pick up that 49,000. Would that mean an extra $20 or $50, or is there any discussion there?
If I may, so you're asking to change the rate from 200 to increase it. Okay. I will look around the room and see if anybody has any input on that. I know last time when we discussed it, people are anticipating, because we're so late, the applications start February 28th. People are anticipating that it'd be the same, but that is up to council to go ahead and make any changes that they would like to see there. So I will turn it over to council to see if anybody would like to. Councillor Callahoo?
I'm for maybe a small increase, right? If you start doing things in small increments. I mean, I live on a very dusty road, and if it goes up 20, 30 bucks for me a year, that's just sort of the world we live in now. Maybe not like make it a huge increase in the hundreds, but maybe start small and go from there.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chamzek?
Because as you mentioned, the lateness of this getting out are not so much for this year, but subsequent years, you would definitely have.
Okay, thank you. Just so I have it in my mind, you mentioned 390, how many applicants, I'm sorry, were there last year? 385?
It's through the chair, or Mrs. Chair. My recollection was 389, but I could
389.
verify that number.
That's okay. Just, it's close enough to the applicants of $389 to make up for that 49,000 you're mentioning. It would be an increase of 125.96. So it would be substantial, but, you know, small increments, like Councillor Talon who said, doesn't hurt either. It helps. Councillor Hall.
I think that we do have to do some serious conversations here. I do have a couple other questions, but because the budget thing has come up, you know, for me, the question is, how are we paying for it? Like, are we actually prepared to raise taxes to cover dust control for 389 residents? Because to me, that's the split in the decision. And if there's no appetite to amend the cost, then are we really prepared to increase taxes to cover this? I already feel like there's been a large amount of work done by admin to tighten up the budget where they can. And on this issue, I feel like our budget is still a bit of a runaway train of spending, and we're just adding more. You know, is this really the most important thing and the most important service we should donate? What amounts to almost 2% of our spending, too. Yeah, almost 2% of our spending, I think, give or take. So I feel like it needs more discussion, and we should definitely have a conversation around that. And then, you know, this idea that, you know, we're so late, we're doing this at the right time. We're doing this well in advance of the timing. It hasn't been advertised yet. So I don't think that we should put a lot of worry in that. I mean, we offer the program, and if we look at our costs and decide that our price should be $300 per application this year, then that's what we advertise, and anybody that wants it can take it up. If we decide it's 600, then that's I just think it's the responsible thing to look at our circumstances and look at our costs. And I'm not okay with increasing taxes to pay for a luxury program like this.
Thank you.
I do have a question for admin as well. The policy makes a lot of reference to residents, and I wonder if it wouldn't be more appropriate throughout the policy when, instead of talking about, you know, example in 3.2, signed by the resident and owner, would we be better off to record it as signed by the applicant and owner? Because it's whoever's applying should be signing that, and that may be the resident, it may be tenant, it may be the owner. And then also, just how does this apply to non-residential properties? We have a number in the county that require dust control, and I couldn't find how this speaks to what they pay if say a non-residential property wanted dust control going by their place.
Through the chair to Councillor Hall. The resident one, I guess under most scenarios, we try and get it with the property owner. Just because if there's any, I guess, recourse to go after the applicant, I want to say, if the payment doesn't go through, it can be considered an improvement to property. So we have some ability to go get that. As far as, you know, when it's with just a renter, we really have no recourse. So, and as far as the other applicants, if it's an industrial property or anything of that nature, you know, if it's a permanent development, that, you know, we will cost share with them. However, if it's one that, you know, is maybe an industrial site where they have staff members on site, it's not a residence, like a battery or something like that, we would just charge them full cost and they would pay for it. But we would still apply it.
Thank you. Councillor DeHollick.
Yeah, you know, I really think that we have to have a serious look at this dust control. You know, we're subsidizing farmers or whatever, probably $600 to $800 for dust control. What does a guy next door get when he doesn't get dust control? He doesn't get the $600 or $800 benefit. So, yeah, I really got a question, on how much it's subsidized, and I really like this year to have a good look at what we're gonna do with this dust control.
Thank you. Is that something you would like to have changed before we begin the application process?
Well, somebody had mentioned just leave it the way it is for this year, and I accepted that. Really not knowing how much the subsidy was, but let's work on it this year.
Okay. All right. So while we're on the topic of, the subsidization of this, saying that it's only a luxury item, I don't agree that it's just strictly luxury. We do have safety concerns, which is why we have mentioned in our policy hills and, intersections that are of concern. There's also the health aspect and the environmental aspect of it. So I don't think it's just strictly luxury. Are we willing to, of course, look at increasing the fee this year? I completely understand it. Would I want to double it? No. I think the small increment idea is much better, as Councillor Callaghan mentioned. But how about we have a think about that one while we carry on and look at some of these other ideas that I think are coming forward. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to double check on the dwelling definition and how we mentioned RVs. And when I looked at the dwelling definition, it says a building or a portion of a building. And when I look at the definition of an RV, it's not considered a building. It's considered temporary structure, but it's not considered a building. So I'm wondering if we can't strengthen that particular definition to mention that it needs to be a permanent building, not a temporary movable item. I don't know how many RVs that we have that are permanently lived in throughout the season, or if they are visited regularly throughout the season. So I'm just wondering if that's something that council would like to look at as well, because how many did we have last year? Do you remember?
Sorry, Madam Chair, I can't recall exactly how many were permanent RVs, I guess you want to call them. So it's an RV that does not leave the site. It's there you see all year round.
Okay.
It has a blue sign. It has a rural address.
Okay.
It meets the criteria identified as far as the policy and what needs to be in it as far as washrooms and kitchens and sleeping areas. I know of at least 4 that I approved. I don't know the exact number of how many exist throughout the municipality.
Right.
But I know when I looked at it, I said it meets the criteria that is described in the policy, and so then I approved it.
Right. So in that situation, if we look at that definition, because I guess I'm just concerned as well, when you mentioned subsidies and who gets what, when and where, I don't think we receive a pile of tax dollars back for RVs. Is there a mill rate for RVs that we are able to, receive those tax dollars from? So that was concerned me. So I was wondering about the definition maybe being stationary and connected. Because if an RV is placed on blocks or a foundation, that makes it a bit different. But if it's temporary and movable and not connected or stationary in that permanent status, I struggle with it a little bit, but that's just me, just rolling that one around. So it's something to think about for the change in the definition of dwelling. When you mentioned earlier the setback for the 250 meter, more thought has gone into that as well, and chit chatting and all these types of things. A 400 meter setback might be palatable to council to consider in that situation. I still know that in serious winds and that kind of thing, that dust moves a little bit quicker and faster, but we do have to, as you mentioned, be considering our budget as well. We talked as well about the control for the additional dust control product So these are in addition to the 200 meters, and someone can apply for extra dust control. And it mentions in our policy on page 42, 3.2 VI, that the plus each applicant is eligible to purchase additional dust control product at cost. So I'm assuming that product is only considered there. So I'm wondering if we can change that to be the product and application costs. Because again, we're subsidizing so heavily. And if somebody's looking for more, I think that that's something that maybe we should consider, that if they need more or they're looking to have more, that application cost be considered. And that grab will be at the discretion of the infrastructure services, whether or not that application, it be included in that application cost. This is something else that I had thought about. And I'm just going to throw these out for folks to think about. We also talked a little bit about the list and the subdivisions. And before, the list was if the subdivisions were 75% inhabited. So if there's a subdivision that's, only got 3 or 4 homes in it, and there's, 14 other lots that aren't yet developed, is that something that we should be adding back in to the policy so that we're capturing what's really needed and what's not in that aspect? So there's that I had written down. I also noticed in the list, because the list is a little bit older, that there are a couple of, when I looked at the land, I'm just going to grab the binder, but that land, bear with me here, with the binder that we were given that explains all of the multi-lot, the 2025 map book, that's what I was referring to. And it shows in here the multi-lot subdivisions that are listed as such. And the ones that I saw that were missing were on this list for page 45 and forward. Copper Ridge Estates wasn't there. Jumping Deer Estates wasn't on this list. The Wright Estates, just off the Old Colton Highway, wasn't on this list. I didn't see Forest Estates, and I didn't see Willow Point subdivision, but again, I would think if we added the 75%, they probably wouldn't apply on that particular item, but I can't forget them at all. And then I also really liked what you mentioned about the Plamondon Connector being a separate standalone item, because I believe that when we're looking at major access roads, Tower Road, I would like to really consider that as a standalone item as well. So that's where I'm at, but I think Deputy Reed Mins might have a few additions there or deletions that he would like to speak, but Councillor Hall, please go ahead.
I wonder, as we're talking about refining the policy, we have to agree that there will be the potential for councils to make different choices around fee structure. And even in terms of the language of the policy, I would propose to my colleagues that we amend the language to talk about the dust suppression program is a cost share at a rate to be set annually by council. So we bake into the policy that the council determines the rate once a year, rather than locking the policy into saying 50-50. And that prevents council from having to amend policy every time they want to change the rate. There's a couple places that I think is mentioned, but mostly around 3.2 letter 5. And then I had, I guess, some other questions on the list as well. I mean, we've got a number of cemeteries listed, but not the Minook Cemetery. We've got one church listed on the public facilities, which is not a county one, but there's a number of other churches in the county that we don't do this for. And and then some other access roads, and I guess I just wondered if they're really a benefit to the county, or if they're a benefit to somebody else, and whether county taxpayers should be subsidizing. And again, I didn't go to the map and count the residences on this road, but whether the county should be paying for this, or whether we should be asking for, say, the Milwaukee Beach Road for the Summer Village to be the one that covers the cost of that, given that it's likely to be their residents with the traffic. Anyway, the main point that I wanted to bring up was just, should we consider an amendment to the language to take the the 50/50 words out and put it at a cost, just refer to it as a cost share at a rate set by council. And again, I would reiterate my deep concerns about our budget and needing to tighten up. And so I think we do have to have a conversation about where we pay for this and how.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate it. I know we'll go back to talking about the rate to charge for sure. Deputy Reed Minns is anxiously waiting to speak.
Just to piggyback on that, I think we have it says 50/50 in there, so we could take that out and put in their schedule fees that we actually have set up. Because if we have it in a schedule, we can change it whenever, right? We don't have to revisit the policy and that we just revisit the schedule of fees, right? If I'm right or not, I don't know. It makes
Through
it
the
easier.
chair, I believe when you open up the schedule of fees, you open up that entire policy,
A bylaw, yeah.
that
Oh,
bylaw. So
I'm just looking for an easier way. It seems like if you attach a schedule, Schedule A, you can actually, instead of opening up the bylaw, you can actually just open up Schedule A and reset the fee or whatever instead of. That was just kind of a thought there
I
to
think
help
you
out.
can.
yeah, if through the chair, if there was a Schedule A that, was identified that the administration is to review the actual costs on an annual basis and amend the annual cost of the dust suppression program based off a percentage. I know you're trying to get rid of the verbiage around percentage or a flat fee that you want. That could be done without opening up the policy. But yeah, anything else would need to have the policy reviewed annually. And I believe that your fee bylaw will you would open up the entire bylaw
Okay.
by doing that.
Okay.
Okay.
But I'm in agreement with if we could raise it a little bit, it would be great. I'm in agreement of the setback distance of 400 meters from the road. If you're more than 400 meters off the road, you won't get dust control. No. If you're 400 meters off the road, what are you getting dust control for? But in the policy here, I don't see, and I don't know if it's just a suggestion. Athabasca County reserves the right to refuse the placement of dust suppression product if not necessary or required. Could not be placed in there just due to the fact that there's some places that, and we'll get into actually going out there and looking at some of these places that we respray year after year after year after year. And if we deem it a way to cut costs, if we deem it doesn't need to be sprayed, then no spray it. Refund the money and be done.
I guess through the chair, I guess we don't view ourselves as the gatekeepers of that program. So when I say that, I mean, if somebody's more than 400 meters, and I'm just talking about today's practice, if council directs something different, that's fine. Under today's practice, if you implemented a 400-meter setback, we would not say no to anybody that was 405 or 600 meters from the road. We would just charge them full cost recovery. So we wouldn't say no. We would just say, you know what, you're going to pay the $1,100 and we'll still do it. If council wants that changed, by all means, we can do that. We can deny those. But today we would not, is what I guess I wanted to indicate. So if we were going to drive around and assess, the only time we would saying no is if it would exposed us to a liability that, you know, we can't manage. Certain proximity to a boat launch, something like that, right? Like there's, I can't think of a, but that would be the only time we say no, as far as refusing to undertake the work today. We may charge them more, but we would still do it.
But if I can ask again, but when we looked at this policy at the committee of the whole, administration had in there a line that said 250 meters. So
that's on a cost share. They could still get it if they were over 250 meters. It's just they would have to pay full ride or full cost.
oh, okay, that's how that was implemented. Okay, okay, that I didn't quite understand. So I apologize. I didn't quite understand that. So okay, we can discuss that a little bit more. One thing that I remember when we were doing this is on these added on hamlets, multi-lot subdivisions, roads and all this stuff. The cost became so great that what was put in there is that we would do them every second year. If we did certain roads this year, they would not be done next year. They would skip a year. So that's one other way that we could actually look at saving some money, saving some costs, is by going back to that amendment and saying, okay, on this Schedule A or whatever, Schedule A policy, we do them roads every second year. Because that was in the policy before. And then if somebody in the subdivision said, no, I want my place done in front of me, they could pay to have it done on the second year.
100%, sorry, through the chair, 100% of the cost or 100% of the product?
Well, it was 100. Yeah, it was a subsidized product, right? But if they wanted it, they had to pay for it. So we could maybe, because if we went out and did all these roads, there may be some of them that we don't have to do. And that needs to be looked at as to say that, or I shouldn't say that needs to be looked at, that should be looked at to actually say whether we need to do that road or not. There's some of them like that is heavy traffic that probably do need it, but there's some that don't, and I do have, that's my thought on that, and I do have a couple of on this list on Schedule A. If you look at page 46, major access roads stabilization projects, Athabasca Airport access. We did, that needs to come off or change to did there.
Through the chair, I believe I did. It was just because I looked at that one because we did the road. This is actually referencing inside the property of the airport.
No, there's two different ones. There's access off of the township road, and then there's access on calcium chloride from Range Road 221 to airport access. That's just a stabilization. That's just a thing there. Caslin North to Provincial Park. It says oiled. There's a chunk in there that's not oiled anymore. It's gravel, and you know what? There's a very beautiful park down there, and I think that if we could put that down for calcium, it'd be great. It's only 500 meters. Closer to the bottom, Whispering Hills Landfill Road, Whispering Hills Road. just a spelling error there. There's an A instead of a G. And then under public facilities for halls and stuff like that, there's no South Athabasca Hall / cemetery.
Sorry?
There's no South Athabasca Hall / cemetery. I'd be more than happy to add that one on, just due to the fact that I know how much traffic goes by there, and so. And I think that's my thoughts.
Perfect. Thank you. And I see Councillor Capitania has her hand up, and then Councillor DeHollick will be next.
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to go back to some comments that were made earlier as I've been giving this some thought, and forgive me if it was brought up at Cal and I was absent, but when you talk about setbacks and you ask why would somebody 250 or 300 or 500 meters off the road want to get dust control, I really believe if you're going to use safety as the reason for subsidizing, you have to accept that if a neighbor to the right of you and a neighbor to the left of you gets dust control because they are 100 meters off the road, and you want to be safe and be a good neighbor and get your dust control in the middle, why would you ever have to pay more than your neighbors? I think that there has to be something at least in place that has like attached, perhaps. Now maybe that's going a totally different direction, but attached dust control portions. Like just because someone maybe lives way back and they're quartered, doesn't mean that whole, like you'd have dust control, no dust control, dust control, no dust control. And I think that's worse for safety than just having none at all. But just thinking about that, being a good neighbor is a reason to get dust control, even if you don't live anywhere near your road and your driveway is a kilometer long. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor DeHollick?
Well, you know what? I really think that we can sit here and talk for 2 days on dust control, and some of us are repeating ourselves. So I can take half a dozen stuff off this list, and we're not going to do this today. You know, it might be a good topic for strategic planning, where we take a day or half a day and let's just trash this out. We're trying to trash this out at a meeting that we're not going to get anywhere, because we have to make some final decisions. So I propose that we take some time at a later date and just concentrate on dust control for a few hours.
Okay.
We'll be here till May to 2 if we're going to continue what we're doing.
Understood. My question though becomes, the applications begin on February 28th. So we are on a bit of a time crunch, and I'm wondering how that impacts you if the application date gets pushed.
I guess it's going to affect the applicants more than us. I guess because if we're not changing the date, it's actually council's policy that says I have to advertise it by the 28th.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why we have to send out the notification of the program on the 28th. I guess if we send it out on the 28th and tell them that it's currently under review from, I guess I still meet my requirements of the policy, but.
Well, and if
It's
council, if
not.
I may, if council makes a change in the application date to say, I don't know, March 15th, does that impact your scheduling and planning by the time, because maybe they have to have, when would they need to have their applications back to you for you to implement the program in your schedule?
Yeah, the program end date where we stop the applications so far hasn't changed.
Okay.
So right now, the drive to get this reviewed from a service level perspective and policy perspective is to meet the deadline of the policy that says we have to advertise by the 28th.
Okay.
We're still not considering changing the last day that you can apply.
Okay.
For
And I don't know what the
program.
last date is.
It's the first Friday of April.
Right.
That
That's
does
not a
not fall on a statutory holiday is what we've identified now.
Okay. And if we push the application date or the advertising kind of scenario to mid-March, it doesn't really give a whole lot of time for the last application date of April 1. If we moved it to April 15, does that mess with your schedule?
Oh, that messes with
There
our
you go.
schedule.
That's what I'm trying to get at. Counselor Chanzik and then Counselor DeHollick.
I just want to point out that we would have a county council day on the 12th and 26th of March.
Yeah.
So possibly, then I like the idea of possibly this being a discussion and strat planning as well.
Yep. Counselor DeHollick.
Yeah, well, up until today, I understood that we were gonna leave it as is for this budget here. And like I say, you know, if we think we're gonna set a date next week and figure this out, we're not. It's gonna take some time. I guarantee you, you know, we're gonna have a discussion that's gonna last for days and days. So I would almost suggest that we do leave it the same for this year and really work at it throughout the year. There's gonna be some tough decisions and I don't know.
Understood. I think if we even moved it to our strat plan, we'd use up a lot of our strat plan time.
Yeah.
So it would be a standalone thing. Thank you, Counselor Hall.
I just wanted to also float the idea, I guess, like, you know, we just let this budget become a runaway train of applications. We can use budget to set limits. So, like I'm not excited by the idea of no top end to this. Maybe we set a firm budget limit on the maximum dollars we're willing to subsidize. And when that's used up, it's used up. You know, 389 applicants, 405, whatever whatever ends up drawing down that pool. At some point we have to say we can't afford more than, because what happens if instead of 390 we get 720 applications this year? Like we've got to use budget to set some guardrails up. And again, I think, you know, while I agree with the colleagues that we, you know, negotiating the fine details of all this is going to take some time. We have the ability today to influence behavior by modifying pricing somewhat. So like I would be very happy to move the price to $300 an application. That's not an unreasonable fee, given that it sounds like it's about a quarter of what it actually costs the county. We should push it up and see what impact pricing has on the application of this. I feel like we made a mistake in going down to 200, and again, there's so many priorities. Where's the money come from for this?
Thank you. I just wanted to quickly mention, I'm not opposed to the increase of a fee. But when you mentioned putting a cap, I question, how would that come out? Is it first come, first serve? And then, you know, the guys who were 2 minutes late from the other guy is saying no. I think we would have a lot of people in the parking lot very angry, and administration would have a lot of earfuls, but that's just off the top of my head. Counselor DeHollick?
Well, raising it to 300 is just the easy way out, I think. You know, there's a lot of other things that we got to look at, you know, setbacks and the people really need it, the neighbors and stuff. I guarantee you if we raise it to 300, and I'd support that, but there's a lot of other things that we got to do with it. I will.
Go ahead, please, Deputy Reid Mins.
So, yeah, no, I'm in agreement with that too, but I guess the other thing is we can raise the fee for 50-50 cost share, flat rate of $300. Now we get into, okay, what are we doing for add-ons?
Yeah.
I want to, if we're going to discuss, we either get rid of the add-ons or we actually start making people pay for them. Because we had gotten rid of the add-ons and then it was brought back and as full cost to the product, which now if we raise the fee to a flat rate of $300, are we saying, okay, now the add-ons are 600 or are we actually going to, I would recommend we raise it to what an actual add-on costs. Actual cost.
Product and application,
Yeah.
including gravel.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
What are the add-ons you're referring to again? Like when someone wants an extra 100 meters or?
Right.
That's correct. You want another 100 meters, you want another 200 meters, you want 500 meters. You pay the actual price of what that costs. Not 50, not of the product, but actually how much it costs us to place this dust suppression down.
Okay, so I'm hearing quite a few things around the table of, but I think we can make some decisions today. I really do, because I look at this and say, okay, well, if we leave it the way we had it last year, we're leaving subdivisions out that are wondering why others are getting it and why we're not. We are looking at the add-on. I fully am in agreement that it should be plus the application cost. You know, we look at, just as an example, the Boyle Lagoon Access Road. What about the Grassland and the Wandering River Access Roads? You know, there's a few things that I think that we could really seriously hammer out here that, just to be fair to our residents across the board. Now, whether or not we implement the every 2 years starting next year, make sure everybody's got it. I don't know what the answer is to that. That would be something we could discuss. But when we look at it, okay, so what we've looked at so far is a definition change for dwelling, possibly, just writing these items down so that everybody can kind of have an idea of where we're at. So a dwelling definition was mentioned. We mentioned the full cost recovery after 400 meters setback. Just writing these all down so we can look at these. We mentioned the subdivisions that we wrote down, or that were brought up. So South Athabasca Hall, Copper Ridge Estates, Jumping Deer Estates, White Estates, the 75%. So there's a few additional subdivisions and public places. There is the 75% inhabited subdivisions that would, I guess, be where it would apply to. These types of things I don't think are too much that we wouldn't be able to hammer it out. A $300 application fee, I'm okay with that, to be honest with you. I'm good with that. Should we just look at each one, folks, and see where we're at? Go ahead, please, Councillor Callan.
I just have one small question. I'm just curious why there's only one Hutterite colony listed, just because the one I live by is like major gravel dusty road.
Like, through the chair, it's likely because when the list was originally created, there was only one.
So could we possibly add Deep Creek colonies to that as well?
We can add whatever council
Thank you.
chooses and provides funding for.
Yeah. And now, is there a certain reason for one Hutterite colony over another? So we've got 3 Hutterite colonies in the county.
Yeah, sorry, I just wasn't familiar with, I guess, which ones are on highways, which ones are on gravel, so.
Correct. I don't necessarily think New Pine Creek would be impacted. I don't even know if the road going into New Pine Creek is a county road or private road. So, you know, we'd be looking at all 3, you know, to make it fair, right? Now,
I understand that where Deep Creek colonies located too. There's the fire hall there, the main hall there, the fire rink there, like the skating rink there, like there's other, right? So it's a high traffic area. So I was just putting it out there.
and would that just be the 200-meter spray, right? That's
Look
what I
at
would,
the experts, yeah.
you know, we would want to look into that for sure. To determine what that would look like. So where does everybody want to go? Do we want to look at the increase in the fee?
Yeah,
Councillor Chamzik?
pardon me, let's start on that.
Okay, so where are we at with the increase in the fee? $300 is what was on the floor by Councillor Hall. Well, we're not going to make a motion, yeah, just kind of do a poll and see where everybody's at, so that when we come to a motion, we got a number. Councillor Hall, we'll start with you. 300 you're going to stick with?
Yeah, but I'd also like to, I guess, don't want to not hear from admin. Maybe that's kind of a sounds good number. Like I'm concerned about the overall cost of this program, and I guess I just wonder, does admin have other advice they'd like to give us on ways we could make the program more cost effective too? So yes, I would support the 300 because I think we're offering it too cheap, but I just that's kind of a solution. I'd still be interested to hear if administration had any other advice.
So go ahead, please.
Through the chair, with respect, I've heard nothing today that made this program more economical. I'm gonna have to ask. I don't know where I say no anymore. We've added a number of things. I'll have to go back and listen to find out exactly what the ads are and how much that's gonna cost. But I can tell you the 49,000 isn't relevant anymore. The 300 fee will help bring that down. Sorry, that's just the
No, understood.
truth that I have.
Yeah, and again, yeah, it might be a way to, we're saying, hey, what would it look like? And bring us back some more numbers, Counselor, or Deputy Reed.
Just as a reference, that might be about $400, or sorry, $40,000 worth of additional income in terms of impact if we raise the rate.
Okay, thank you.
Well, what I'm thinking here is I'm totally on base with Councillor Dahalik right now that we're going to sit here and discuss changes to this, changes to that. I think what we should be doing is discuss the change to the fee, the flat rate fee, and the add-ons, and move this, because we're going to beat the living heck out of there. I'd love to change a policy, but holy man, I don't think we have time. I think we just change the fee, and then we ask administration to bring back later on in a committee of the whole meeting this lovely policy again, and or take a day and beat it to living death, because we're gonna go into supper here if we don't move on.
Go ahead, please, Counselor.
Yeah, we keep talking about add-ons, and you keep talking about add-offs, Marshall. I think we should be talking a little bit about add-offs. But I can get rid of a lot of this stuff in my division. I bet you I'd come up with half a dozen that we can get rid of. And if every counselor looks and has a good look at their area, and think about what's really necessary, I think we can all have some add-offs.
Thank you, Counselor Stasia.
Thank you, through the chair. I appreciate all the discussion over this. I don't know if that was a wise move to introduce this to begin with, but I support this. I think we should just deal with the price increase right now. During last budgeting, we discussed this fairly thoroughly and we set up a criteria. I think probably the best time would be November or whenever, October of this coming year, when we start doing rebudgeting. We can set up the criteria for add-ons and takeaways and stuff like that. But for now, yeah, will not achieve $49,000, but if we hit it at 40,000, that is bonus. So yeah, I would propose that we deal with the pricing right now and move on today.
Okay. We also have the policy that has a whole bunch of red in it. Is everybody satisfied with the changes in the red? This is where I'm at. So just changing the fee, but not looking at the changes that have been put forward in the policy itself. Where are we at? So we're going to remove the specific roads identified in attached Schedule A. We're going to remove the Schedule A completely? No. So no, you want to keep the add-ons.
Well, that's not that. That's not that.
We removed this.
Keep Schedule A in here.
Okay.
Because that's what we go by is Schedule A. What I'm talking about add-ons is where
we didn't go by Schedule A last year. Please go ahead.
Sorry, through the chair, just for a point of clarity for administration. What I heard was that you don't want to talk about the policy changes at all, other than the rate. So that means that the policy that was in place last year would still be what we're basing the program off of. Other than a $200 fee, it would be $300, is what I heard. Now, if you're going to get into this draft policy and keeping parts of that, well, now we have to go through the policy.
But last year, according to last year,
the list was not on there.
The list was not on there.
No, it wasn't.
So,
We still did a number of them,
right,
but the list wasn't officially there.
right. So how did you know what
It
ones
was-
to do? Because exactly, without the list, it's just like throwing it in the wind. Who's gonna get it?
Administration just did them.
Exactly,
and
because historical.
It was not part of the policy.
Correct. So because if this list is not part of the policy, admin shouldn't be doing it. So this is what I'm saying. If you want to just go and put $300 on, this isn't included. That's not included. So that's my concern.
I don't think there's anything wrong with the amendments proposed by administration, like the stuff that's in red. We could adopt this and then still go on to further refine it, but this is, administration's recommendation. It seems like the majority want Schedule A added. I'd reiterate, I think 3.2, number 5, we need to change that language to something that says is cost share at a rate set annually by council to give us flexibility, and then we can just do it through motion. But otherwise, and then the other thing that comes to mind is, why do we have to kick this forward? This seems to, why don't we just plan a special meeting? If this is important and we need to figure it out, when we get to calendars, let's look at our calendars and plan a day where we can just come and sit down and talk this through and get this figured out in February.
I like it better than doing it at strat planning. I think that would take up a whole thing.
Well,
So
we can't just keep pushing stuff down the road. Like
Correct.
like I've said before, we've got to get our budget under control, and this is a real opportunity to figure that out and to get good advice from admin on what are we trying to accomplish here, and to what extent are we prepared to subsidize 400 residents, with something that amounts to almost 2% of our revenue.
Okay. So again, I go back to, do we want to push the application date from February 28th to possibly March 15th, March 10th? I don't know, just to give us some more time to sit down and determine when we get to calendars. I like the idea of having a day or a meeting specifically just for this item so that we're moving things forward just for that item. How does everybody feel? Well, I'm looking at my calendar and I know it's getting a little crazy for February, but I'm more than willing to try and do that. But it pushes, I don't want to put strain on administration who is needing to put ads out by February 28th, that we, come up with a plan on the 26th of February, for example, or the 24th of February. And it gives you 2 days, 2 or 3 days, right? I don't know. We need to consider how this impacts administration. Go ahead, please, Councillor Chisholm.
Can't we add it to the Cal meeting on the 17th?
Oh, we'd be there all day. Yeah, I
tried.
Yeah, I know. We really need to have a day on this one, I agree, or in the morning or something. But where does it fit within the timelines for administration? How much time do you need after we make a final decision to advertise?
To answer through the chair, after we have clear direction on which way we're going, if we have a day or two to put together the ad, that's probably sufficient.
Okay. So when we get to calendars, folks, we'll have a look at that for a special day, special meeting, special day. Does that work? So we're going to table this.
And just as thinking about that, there's nothing that precludes us from I know we already have a bit of a plan for the 17th committee of the whole. We could just prepare and plan for a full day, long day, and split it into half and spend, half day on the first topic and half on this, or even at council's discretion, devote the 26th of February council meeting and just all non-critical items go off that list and focus down to this particular item. We have a habit of the same agenda every time. We can wipe out most of that stuff and just focus on one topic if we choose. Like, we can be creative, I guess is what I'm saying.
I happen to be in favor of having this standalone. I know that administration might have needs on agendas that we don't know about, that we just can't wing it. I think we need to have a standalone time. Councillor Stasia?
Yeah, I noticed on the calendars here, we really don't do a whole lot on Fridays. Is there a reason for that?
It depends on different committees and whatnot, but yeah.
No, but I'm not seeing any committees and I'm more than willing to come in on a Friday and just vote the date. I don't know what everybody else is thinking, but I'm good with Friday. If this is not that we're going to be, it's not going to be an ongoing thing where every time it's Friday, but just because of this expediation here, I'm willing on Friday, any Friday. Fine
Okay,
with me.
and when we get to calendars in the 8.2 or
Okay,
3,
okay.
we'll definitely solidify
Consider
all
that.
that if we could.
Sure.
No. So I think what I'm hearing is that we will table this item unto a future meeting. If that works. Yes, please, Counselor Chansick. That, thank you for the dialogue, folks, but we are going to table this item to a future meeting. All those in favor? Okay, and we have any opposed? Not sure. I've got Counselor Kapitanic there.
Sorry, I am opposed. I'd like to deal with it today.
Okay, you're opposed. Sorry, I think we have one opposed. Counselor Hall, you were in favor?
Correct.
Correct. So we have 8 and 1. Okay. I think, you know what, folks? I know it's getting close to lunch, but I think we need a break on this. Can we please take 7 minutes and come, well, 3, yeah. We'll take 8 minutes if we could, please, and come back at 11:35, 11:40. Hi, everybody. We're back from our recess, but we realized lunch has just been is ready to go. So I think our best bet, because we'd be in and out here again, just to take lunch, and we come back at 12:05. If that works for everyone. Works for everybody. All right, so we'll be back at 12:05. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you very much. Sorry about that for the late return. We had some technical difficulties here, but we're ready to go again. And we are on item 6.1, which is page 48 to 151 of your agenda. This is subject is the bylaw 001/2026 repeal area structure plan bylaw, affecting 3 different bylaws, three different structure plans, area structure plans, Baptiste Lake, Skeleton Lake, and Island Lake. If I may turn it over to administration.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. Instead of going through the report itself, administration prepared a PowerPoint, and so we'll put it on the screen and just kind of run through some highlights prior to the discussion, if that's all right.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So as you're aware, we're discussing bylaw 001/2026, which is the repeal area structure plan bylaw. And just to highlight some previous council decisions on how we got here today, on March 11th, 1980, bylaw 3/1980 adopted the Baptiste Lake area structure plan. on May 28th, 1980, bylaw 11, 1980 adopted the Skeleton Lake Area Structure Plan. September 24th, 1981, bylaw 15, 1981 adopted the Island Lake Area Structure Plan. On August 29th, 2019, bylaw 003, 2019 adopted the current municipal development plan. On September 14th, 2021, in collaboration with some summer villages, Athabasca County adopted the following intermunicipal development plan bylaws. Bylaw 18-2021 with the summer village of Bondus, 19-2021 with the summer villages of Island Lake and Island Lake South, and bylaw 20-2021 with the summer villages of South Baptiste, Sunset Beach, West Baptiste, and Whispering Hills. On January 10th, 2023, bylaw 019-2022 was adopted to repeal inoperative, obsolete, expired, spent, and ineffective bylaws. So Section 692 of the Municipal Government Act requires council to hold a public hearing prior to given second reading for a bylaw that deals with a municipal development plan, area structure plan, area redevelopment plan, and land use bylaw. A public hearing is also required when repealing or amending such bylaws. These are also known as statutory plans. Bylaw 19-2022 was adopted with the intention to repeal inoperative, obsolete, expired, spent, and ineffective bylaws in the county's directory. Schedule A of bylaw 19-2022 listed a mix of bylaws for agricultural, area structure plans, emergency and enforcement services, and land use, as well as with recreation. All three readings were granted on January 10th, 2023, and no public hearing was held. Failing to hold a public hearing did not properly repeal the area structure plan bylaws. Administration identified 3 area structure plan bylaws, being the Baptiste Lake, Skeleton Lake, and Island Lake area structure plans that are still in force due to the lack of public hearing for bylaw 19-2022. Going back in time to 1980, when we adopted the Baptiste Lake area structure plan, at the time the bylaw was adopted, only the summer village of Sunset Beach existed. The area structure plan provided policies to promote an acceptable quality of life, establish future development patterns, and was envisioned to satisfy the Lake Shoreland Development Operation Regulations. Since its adoption, there has been additional development on the east side of Baptiste Lake. Some key subsequent amendments to take into consideration is bylaw 17-1984, amended 3-1980 by passing the new Baptiste Lake area structure plan. Bylaw 3-1987, amended 17-1984 to redesignate lots 14 and 15, from rural conservation to lakeshore development or residential. Our current issues is that there are inconsistencies with the area structure plan and the future land use concept of the intermunicipal development plan. The IDP identifies more land as future residential and commercial areas than what was originally identified in the area structure plan. Section 638 of the MGA, as well as Section 618, does mention that all statutory plans must be consistent with one another. Bylaw 11-1980 for the Skeleton Lake area structure plan. At the time of its adoption, only the summer village of Bondus did not exist. The area structure plan provided policies to promote management goals, establish future development patterns. Oh, my apologies. That's why I thought I did.
Yeah, I thought you did too.
Thank you. So the area structure plan, again, provided policies to promote management goals, establish future development patterns, and envision to satisfy the Lake Shoreland Development Operation Regulations. Since its adoption, there has been growth on the north, west, and south portions of Skeleton Lake. Some key subsequent amendments was bylaw 16, 1984, amended bylaw 11, 1980 by adopting an amended Skeleton Lake Area Structure Plan. Bylaw 25, 1988 rescinded bylaw 16, 1984 by adopting a revised Skeleton Lake Area Structure Plan. The current issues is there is inconsistency with the area structure plan and the future land use concept of the IDP, which identifies more land on the southeast side near Bondus as future residential area and as commercial areas that were not originally identified in the area structure plan. Go to the next one, please. Bylaw 50, 1981, the Island Lake Area Structure Plan, provided policies to promote management goals, establish future development and land use patterns, and envisioned to satisfy the lake shoreland development operation regulations. Since its adoption, there's been growth on the southwest side of Island Lake. Some key subsequent amendments is bylaw 18, 1984, amended bylaw 15, 1981 by adopting a new Island Lake Area Structure Plan, and bylaw 5, 1988, amended bylaw 18, 1984 by including section 5.6, institutional recreation. The inconsistencies with the area structure plan and the future land use concept of the intermunicipal development plan is there's an increase to the boundary area identifies different parcels as agricultural, recreation, rural conservation, and residential in the IDP. Bylaw 5, 2022 or 2002, the municipal development plan. Bylaw 5, 2002 was adopted on July 25th, 2002 as Athabasca County's municipal development plan. It provided long-range planning policies within the county and guided development according to council's vision and goals. When it was adopted, it repealed the following bylaws: 4, 1998, which was the previous municipal development plan; 3, 1987, the Baptiste Lake Area Structure Plan and all amendments thereto; 5, 1988, which was the Island Lake Area Structure Plan and all amendments thereto; 25, 1988, which was Skeleton Lake Area Structure Plan and all amendments thereto. Although the intentions of bylaw 5, 2002 was to repeal the ESPs, it failed to name the proper bylaws and therefore only repealing the amendments. Next one. Bylaw 3, 2019 Municipal Development Plan. So this bylaw was adopted on August 29th, 2019 as the county's current municipal development plan. The bylaw repealed previous bylaw 5, 2002. The Major Lake Policy Area Overlay provides guideline for development around Baptiste, Skeleton, and Island Lake. Section 6 guides country residential development through policies on subdivision and development with a goal to facilitate country residential development in suitable locations to support local and regional housing needs. Section 7 guides the adoption or the development of multi-lot country residential development and provides policies on the requirements of an area structure plan where multi-lot subdivisions are encouraged, and it outlines servicing requirements. Section 8 guides lakeshore development with a goal to mitigate negative impacts on water quality and riparian areas while ensuring public access and recreation opportunities for all. Administration believes that there was intent to repeal the 3 ASP bylaws with the passing of the 2002 Municipal Development Plan, as well with the 2022 repeal bylaw. The outdated ASPs no longer represent relevant planning considerations that are outlined with the current IDPs or the current municipal development plan. Our recommendation is that council consider giving first reading to bylaw 001-2026 and to direct administration to schedule and advertise a public hearing for March 12th. This would allow administration sufficient time to notify the summer villages in accordance with the requirements of the IDP An advertisement will also be placed in the Town and Country newspaper and on the county's website for 2 consecutive weeks, being February 24th and March 2nd. The public hearing process allows anyone who wishes to speak in favor or in opposition to the proposal to have their comments read into record, and then council can decide whether to proceed with the bylaw.
Thank you very much. Great information. And I know some of it, of course, was covered as well as it's in the administrative report, if I'm not mistaken. Because that was one of the questions I had, was the different bylaws that amended and rescinded and changed. We weren't able to see them, but from what I understand, it's because they've been repealed already. Okay. So council, who would like to begin the conversation?
Councillor Chisholm. Through the chair, I have a few concerns with this repealing area structure plan bylaws as presented. I do believe that the 3 area structure plans should be addressed separately, as each lake has different issues and may be affected differently with a repeal. I can only talk about Skeleton Lake because that's the lake that is nearest to me, and that's where my division is as well. But Skeleton Lake is already showing signs of stress. So to repeal an outdated area structure plan does not undo the current issues with that lake and the development there. I do believe the responsible course of action for Skeleton Lake would be to strengthen and enforce the plan, not eliminate it. Repealing this plan only weakens the county's ability to manage future growth and responsibilities for Skeleton Lake and its residents. So protecting this lake and the county residents currently around this lake for future sales and development should be more about coordinating of trying to protect the lake, not less. If we separate the 3 lakes, then we can look at cost difference for perhaps updating area structure plans, as all 3 may not be affected. As for Skeleton Lake, I would like to see an updated area structure plan for the following reasons. It is widely known that Skeleton Lake is experiencing development pressures and growing concerns about lake health. When watershed is under stress, the solution is not to reduce planning. The solution is to become updated and do more planning. Healthy lakes and responsible growth are not competing goals. They depend on each other for future development, for future growth. Without the ASP or updated ASP, how can we address environmental standards? How can we support responsible growth? And how do we address proper enforcement moving ahead? In addition, the ASP is the only lake-specific statutory planning framework currently in place. So before we decide to remove it, we should have confirmation of intermunicipal consultation. And the village of Miawatha is part of this ASP. And I don't know if they've been advised that we are considering repealing this. On their website, they do refer to this ASP. It's under their bylaw number 24, 1980. So that affects them as well. So I'm not in favor of repealing the area structure plan for Skeleton Lake at this time. I would like to see it reviewed. I would like to see an update happen to protect this lake, as again, it is under a lot of stress and overdevelopment at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Excuse me, appreciate that. So the question I do have is with regards to the Summer Village of Miawatha, because I also found that bylaw and wondered, how does that impact, if we repeal it, how does it impact their bylaw? Because their bylaw is based on this plan, the current plan, the one that's, the current ASP. So I wasn't sure how that impacts them.
Madam Chair, members of council, I would just make an assumption that they would have to amend their bylaws accordingly. So no different than if the Municipal Government Act is amended and our policies reference certain points that no longer exist or that are changed, we would have to amend our policies and bylaws to reflect that. In the intermunicipal development plan, I believe that they are listed on there and they would be notified if we do proceed with this repealing bylaw.
Okay. Because, yeah, their bylaw for their, is the, being a bylaw to adopt the Skeleton Lake Area Structure Plan insofar as it applies to the summer village of Niwatha Beach. So basically, it's just a one pager that refers to that particular plan. So are you, because I understand that IDPs and MDPs aren't the same, and they're certainly not the same as an ASP, and all three kind of complement each other. Are you saying that the IDP and the MDP cover off all of the information that's currently in the ASP? Because I guess there's different regulations that it refers to. It refers to the lake management plan. It was supposed to be done and adopted in the land use bylaw. There was supposed to be the regulated lake shoreland development operation regulations. I don't know, they're old in this one, if they're still in existing. The Land Surface Conservation and Reclamation Act in 1977, again, it's old. Is there a new one? It's just, I also have the same concerns that if we remove the ASP that's very specific to protecting that lake, are we covered in our IDP and our MDP enough to match the protection that's in the current ASP?
I also understand that an IDP will not address detailed and site-specific planning, especially when we have a lake that's overstressed. So I think it's better that we update the area service structural plan. And I know it's expensive, but in either way, even with an IDP, if we go forward in that direction, we still have to do some mitigation to ensure that that lake is healthy. So I think the best route is to continue with an updated area structure plan to protect that lake and the health of it and the overdevelopment.
Yep.
The question is how do we protect this lake for the next 30 years? And I don't think an IDP is the answer to that. I think the area structure plan being updated would be the proper way to go.
Okay, thank you. No, understood. Is administration able to weigh in on how our current documents, the IDP and the MDP, provide that same level of protection as what the ASP was intended to do in 1980?
Madam Chair, members of council, so our current municipal development plan has these three lakes are identified under the major lake policy area. And so section 8 of the MDP, I believe, speaks to anytime a subdivision or a development comes in, you know, the landowners are required to get, if it's adjacent to the lake, they have to get the proper Water Act approvals and provide their confirmation that their proposed development will not negatively impact the water body or any natural or environmentally sensitive areas. We also require in the municipal development plan that anytime a parcel is subdivided with 6 or more parcels, so whether or not there was previous subdivisions done, we look at the parcel as a whole, a quarter section as a whole. 6 or more, they're required to do an area structure plan, and that area structure plan then has them doing reports, biophysical reports, environmental reports, and that is all part of that area structure plan that comes to council for consideration and adoption. So those are usually at the time of those applications is when we address if there would be any environmental concerns on that.
Okay, thank you. No, I appreciate that. So that's 6 or more. So somebody could still come and develop smaller parcels basically without having to worry about an area structure plan?
As long as on the whole quarter section, there is no more than 6.
Okay. Okay. Where does everybody want to go with this? Councillor Chamzik.
I just have a quick question. When I was reading the financial, I just want a clarification with the pricing. Is that each or all?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. That would be for one area structure plan. And I would assume that amending an older area structure plan would almost be as much as doing a new one. So that fee would be most likely the same.
And Madam Chair, if I could pipe in there, like, these are numbers that we're grasping at. We didn't get, a quote by any means, but, we talk to consultants regularly, and so we sort of took a shot at it. An area structure plan around a lake is an extensive, in 1980, it looked a lot different than it does today. So the costs could be upwards of.
They could skyrocket, in other words, you could say, yeah. Counselor Hall?
Sorry, there we go. I think we have to for me, we need to look at what's really happening here. And this is about cleaning up a mess from the past. And, admin has told us very clearly that we've got IDPs that were done collaboratively with the summer villages. These documents don't represent, they're in conflict, and they don't represent the most recent decisions of the councils. And so whether we need a new area structure plan or not, I think is a separate question, and a very valid one, and one we should debate and consider. But that's not this question. This is like, I could easily get behind us having a conversation about going to the summer villages and working with them to build a new plan. This is about cleaning up a document that is no longer fit for purpose, that part of it was deleted, and just through administrative errors, a portion of it wasn't deleted. Like, all the amendments that were necessary to make it work got wiped out, and then the main document didn't. Admin has told us that this effectively eliminates all future development in the region, and I think building a new area structure plan is all fine, but that we should not be in the short term creating a situation where there's absolutely nothing is allowed. This document has been in place for years, and has obviously not been followed. Like, let's start from fresh and move forward. But I don't think we want this reputation of, on page 52, it says all future development, including subdivisions, is not permitted. I don't want to be part of a reputation of the county where we go out and say Athabasca County is closed for business. So I don't think eliminating this is in conflict with doing a new plan, and we should tidy this up and then actively move on to talking about what are the needs for that lake and the other lakes, Skeleton and Baptiste Island, and if we feel it's warranted, then start working on new area structure plans. But that's not going to be a short process. But let's remember that more than one council has also basically tried to cancel this, and it's just through technical glitches that it's still effective. I think we should respect that and tidy this up, I guess, is where I wanted to go.
Okay, thank you. Before I turn it over to Councillor Chisholm, I just want to also mention it's not all of Athabasca County we're referring to. It's 3 major lakes, and 3 major lakes that have identified concerns of already being overpopulated. Councillor Chisholm?
Through the chair, I do believe that the 3 separate lakes should be dealt separately, and we've lumped them into one. So I know you're trying to clean it up. I don't think like going to an IDP is the proper way to clean up this oversight of not using the ASP throughout the past. We do have a problem because we didn't use the ASP properly. Are we as the county liable for any overdevelopment and issues with the lake? Like, I don't know, but that's something that could be a possibility. And for a cleanup, to repeal the ASP, I don't think is the proper way to go about this when you have such a lake, and I'm only referring to Skeleton Lake, being stressed. And we know that the residents at Skeleton Lake are very passionate about trying to get this lake up to health. So repealing the area structure plan for Skeleton Lake, I don't think is the right way to go. But again, this is tied into all 3 structure plans, which I don't think is the way we should have dealt with it.
So you're almost suggesting, from what I understand, is to, instead of have bylaw 001/2026 for all three, have three separate bylaws?
That's what I would suggest, just because each lake has its own issues. And Skeleton Lakes, I mean, has been very vocal about the issues there, so.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to weigh in on that? I understand exactly what administration is also saying, but I also understand how sensitive of a topic that this is for Skeleton Lake especially. Is it possible to go back and have three separate bylaws to deal with these in three separate ways and give every, because I imagine if we do a public hearing and say we have issues from Baptiste Lake coming forward, Island Lake coming forward, and Skeleton Lake coming forward, we've experienced very long public hearings before and had very long days. So I'm not sure if I'd like to get administration's opinion.
Whatever council directs us to do.
Okay, thank you. So where's Councillor Hall?
Can I add, though, admin has been very clear. These are ineffective, out of date, out of alignment. And so it is a problem that we have two sets of documents, a more recent one that's in conflict with some old document. When we did the Brownlee course, we heard that, I'm looking for my note, but ineffective policy is just added red tape. And that these are documents that, you can't just leave in place forever. So not repealing this solves absolutely zero problems. If we think that we need to do an area structure plan, then let's put that on the agenda and talk about budgeting money to do it. But either way, not repealing this doesn't solve a problem. We actually perpetuate problems. And I think we should move forward at least to the public hearing and see what we have and where we go. And again, remember, admin has been pretty clear about the conflict that this historic oversight has created. We shouldn't use it to try to drive a new agenda for the lake health. This will not solve the problem of lake health.
Thank you, Councillor Chisholm.
Through the chair, I don't think this is a new initiative. When the Skeleton Lake on September 3rd, when residents showed up for that development hearing, they brought up the area structure plan. So they're quite aware that there is an area structure plan that is active and hasn't been utilized properly to date. So
by either party,
correct, but it
their
hasn't.
hands are not clean.
So repealing it isn't, as far as I'm concerned, for Skeleton Lake, the proper way to. It's not going to resolve the issue that we have. Sure, it's an outdated area structure plan, but it's an area structure plan that protected the lake, and it's actually got some really good stuff in it that we haven't utilized.
I think it didn't protect the lake. That's the point.
Well, people would argue that point, and I guess that's the issue here.
I think, it was intended to protect the lake. The area structure plan was created to create that. Back in 1980, they knew how important it was to protect the lake and the land around it, and use the different acts and the regulations and whatnot as reference. Why it wasn't adhered to, I can't answer. But it creates an issue of where we are today, for sure. And also, for me, it's a concern, as you mentioned, we have a group that they're very aware of this, and they have this area structure plan. And being that, as you mentioned, it prevents development while it's still in play around those lakes, I'm pretty sure they'd be jumping for joy in hearing that. So I'm really not sure where to go with this either. And I'm not sure where Island Lake and Baptiste Lake really feels, where they are as far as, I really don't know. The public hearing would definitely tell us that. But I am in agreement that we do it in three separate bylaws so that we give attention and care and concern for three separate major lakes. I am in favor of that. Go ahead, Councillor Chisholm.
I will make the motion to give the first reading to bylaw 001/2026 for purpose of repealing the area structure plans. And I would like that vote recorded.
Okay. So you don't want to split them now? You don't want to have three different bylaws come
Well, I
forward?
would like to, but can I? That's not what really was the option on the table.
We don't need to go with this recommendation. You
Okay.
can always put forward a motion, a separate motion to direct administration to bring back three separate bylaws if you like.
That's the motion then I would like to head.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any further discussion on this item? So the motion that we have on the floor would be Councillor Chisholm would like to direct administration to bring three separate repealing bylaws, for one for Baptiste Lake, one for Island Lake, and one for Skeleton Lake, to an upcoming meeting for further discussion.
Correct.
Okay. Is everybody understanding that motion? Do we have Councillor Stacey?
And so within that motion, or through the chair, sorry, within that motion, we'd be giving first reading, or that's just bring the information, then we adopt first reading? Is that correct?
If I may, it would be three separate bylaws being brought forward where we would then look at the first
Okay.
reading.
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome. Okay, how does everybody want any further discussion there? All right, on that motion.
Well, I'm going to say, I think that's a waste of time. We've got an adequate document in front of us. We've got a clear recommendation from administration, and we at some point we have to start listening to the professionals that we hire to do this work, instead of kicking things down the road, stretching it out and making it more difficult.
Thank you. Councillor Kapitanik, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that we are going against administration's recommendation and creating 3 times the work for them if we vote yes to this.
I wouldn't say that we're going against their recommendation. I would say that we're enhancing the recommendation to give all 3 major lakes an opportunity separately.
So enhancing by 3 times the work for administration.
Once again, I mentioned what I said.
I'm just confused. So forgive me, that would be 3 separate public hearings.
Correct.
Even if no one showed up for one?
Correct.
Okay.
And I'm in favor of that. Reason being is because I think we owe it to our major lake residents to have that opportunity without feeling like you're being rushed because we have a room full of people and we're dealing with 3 different items. That's where I feel. All right. Anybody else?
One more question. Then would all of those hearings have to be scheduled on separate days? So you wouldn't have a room full of people?
I'm not sure. They would happen at three, I would imagine 3 public hearings would happen, but whether or not be at the same day, I don't know. But it refers to each item separately.
Okay, I just envisioned that if all 3 lakes were going to be on the same day, then that would kind of defeat the purpose of separating them. The room would be still very full. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chisholm?
Well, I don't think they'd all be here at the same time. They'd just be with each lake that's affected. They'd come in and have their public hearing at that time, correct?
Yeah, it would be 3 separate public hearings, whether or not they happen on the same day, that's fine.
Yes.
But at least each public hearing would address one major lake at a time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair to each lake.
Okay. Does that cover it off? Everyone understand what that's all about? So the motion from Councillor Chisholm would be to direct administration to bring forward 3, I haven't written it down, 3 separate bylaws to address repealing the ASPs, one bylaw each for Baptiste Lake, Skeleton Lake, and Island Lake. And at an upcoming meeting. Okay. And there's a recorded vote. All right, if we're ready for that, all those in favor? We have Councillor DeHolick, Councillor Chisholm, Councillor Chamzik, Reeve Holland, Deputy Reeve Mins, Councillor Stasiak, Councillor Calahoo, and opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
7 and 2, that carries. And then pardon me, the nays were Councillor Hall and Councillor Kapitanic. Okay, 6.1 is done. 6.2, we move on to. This is the bylaw 005-2026, the Collinton Local Improvement Tax Cancellation. This is 3rd reading on page 152 of your agenda package, and Deputy Reeve Mins would like to speak.
I'll move 3rd reading. of bylaw 005/2026.
Okay, thank you. Is there discussion? Any discussion? Looking up the screen, looking for hands. All right, if we're ready for that particular vote, that would be for bylaw 005/2026, be given a third reading.
We have a recorded vote, please.
We'll do a recorded vote.
Thank you. That's what I was gonna ask for.
Okay, thank you. So recorded vote that Deputy Reed Mins would like to move that bylaw 005/2026 be given third reading. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? We have Councillor DeHollick, Councillor Chisholm, Councillor Chamzik, Deputy Reed Mins, Reeve Holland, Councillor Stasiak, Councillor Calahoo. And opposed?
Nay.
We have Councillor Hall and Councillor
Nay.
Capitani. 7-2, thank you. 6-2, 6-3. We are on page 156 of your agenda package. 6.3 is bylaw 001/2026, land use bylaw amendment, and bylaw 012/2026 area structure plan amendment. I think I'm just going to turn this over to administration if you'd like to present a report or have any further discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. So just a little background information. The Northeast 367117 west of the 4th parcel is a vacant, roughly 32.9 acre piece of property that is currently zoned as hamlet residential on the north part, as light industrial on the south part, and a small portion of commercial on the southeast corner. The hamlet of Wandering River Area Community Plan, bylaw 2/2013, identifies this parcel as low-density residential development on the north, medium-density residential in the middle, and commercial on the south. The county's municipal development plan identifies the hamlet of Wandering River to be in the growth node policy area. The land use bylaw amendment was previously prepared to consider redistricting a portion of Northeast 367117 from the hamlet residential district to light industrial. On first reading was granted on March 8th, 2022, and a public hearing was advertised and held on March 31st, 2022. Following the public hearing, council defeated second reading and the bylaw did not proceed, and the lands remain in its current zoning. The purpose of the Hamlet Residential District, which is the current zoning on the north part, is to allow for a range of residential and compatible uses within the county's designated hamlets. The aim is to enhance the small town character and quality of life provided by those communities. In a residential district, an accessory building would not be permitted without a principal building or use on the parcel. And there is no use within the Hamlet Residential District that would accommodate the proposal. Administration believes that working with the applicants, that the industrial use medium best defines the activities proposed by the applicant, as there's no other definitions that would incorporate business activities. In the land use bylaw, the industrial use medium means an industrial development in which all business activities and storage of goods, materials, or equipment are contained within the site, and there is a minimal impact for the use, or from the use, sorry. Redistricting the area to an industrial district where the industrial use medium would be permitted may not be the best option, as this district would allow for all listed industrial uses to be considered and could create conflict with existing residential development to the north. Adjacent districts in this area include commercial to the southeast, country residential, and light industrial to the west and northwest, respectively. Administration is proposing to redistrict the lands to a direct control district, which gives council the authority to approve and regulate specific development on a case-by-case basis for this area. In the land use bylaw, the purpose of the direct control district is to provide for development of land uses under individually unique or special circumstances requiring site-specific controls where the application of conventional land use districts would be inappropriate or inadequate. Redistricting the land will allow the owner to apply for development permit and for council's consideration, because in the direct control district, council is the development authority. The Hamlet of Wandering River Community Plan, Figure 8.1, as it identifies the Northeast 367117 as future low-density residential, would also have to have an amendment. Bylaw 12/2026 is an amendment to that area structure plan to include policies for direct control and changing approximately 4.3 acres from low-density residential to direct control. The proposal complies with the intentions of the municipal development plan, as the Hamlet of Wandering River is within the growth node policy area overlay. And the overlay represents existing concentration of commercial, light, and heavy industrial development and or areas that county council has identified as having growth potential as employment centers. Administration considers the circumstances of the proposed development to be unique, and although the primary land use is residential, a shop used for storage and minor repairs for commercial vehicles may be compatible with adjacent land use districts, provided that appropriate regulations such as setbacks and screening are applied.
Thank you very much. I think I just have one quick question, and I might not have heard it correctly. In the administrative report on page 156, when it mentions the parcel and the current zoning being Hamlet residential, light industrial on the southern part, but did I hear it was in the west instead? I'm confused as to where the light industrial currently is on the parcel.
Madam Chair, the light industrial, oh, sorry, hold on.
The northern part is residential, the middle part is light industrial, and the southern part is commercial. I think where you picked up the other light industrial she was speaking of, to the west of this parcel, that zoning is light industrial.
Okay, thank you for that. And just one other quick, so like I'm clear, on page 160, it mentions from country residential district to direct control. Is that meant to be Hamlet residential?
That is correct, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
thank you. I just wanted to make sure I've got clear what's happening with that. Okay, where are we at? Council, who would like to start this conversation, or if they have any questions or concerns they'd like to bring forward? Anybody like to start? Councilor Chisholm.
Through the chair. That is a really big building. So I'm concerned with where they're wanting to put it. But also with the direct control, I understand why we're doing it, because it doesn't quite fit in anything. But my concern, okay, so we go ahead and do this. At this point in time, we don't seem to have a way to monitor a lot of our issues out there in the county. I think this would be another one. But this person sells this big shop, and then some vac truck company comes in. I don't think the neighbors would appreciate the screaming vac trucks if, that could be the case, right? So I don't know if direct control would be the right way to go, and I don't even know if this type of building should be there, especially when the same owner has already commercial availability to him. So that's just my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. I'll add to that if I may. I was also going through Schedule B and looking on page 161 to kind of get my head wrapped around what exactly was going to happen here. And when I saw 36-foot maximum height, I don't necessarily know if that's the plan, but 36 feet is basically a typical 3-story apartment building height. So I was kind of confused by that. as if this is a storage type setup. Why such a tall? I know it says maximum height, but that was a concern for me as well. And as you mentioned, when things sell, this goes with the land. There's accessory buildings for uses. And then there's the industrial use medium, but we don't have quite a definition of medium. And I think, did you touch on the medium use definition?
Yes, Madam Chair, that is on page 157, the fourth paragraph is how it's defined
There
in
we
the
go.
land use bylaw.
Thank you. So that's the business activity, storage of goods, materials and equipment contained within the site. Okay, so there's minimum impact. So it's basically putting everything that is there inside a building. Okay, so currently is the property that is, that we're referring to, are they in compliance with what they've got on the go now? And I guess I'm concerned if there's already big trucks going through the neighborhood and we have signage there that says there's no trucks in the hamlet and different commercial activity that's already taking place on site. Is that in compliance with the current use now?
Madam Chair, what I can say right now is we don't have a current development permit for that parcel of land, and that's why we're here today, is to see if we can get that. I'm not aware of any activity on site.
Okay, and I'm sorry, are they not able to utilize the current zoning for the light industrial that's there on the parcel now? Is there no way of utilizing that? There, I mean, where would they access it now? Like for this, if we were to change this, where would they access the direct control now? To put their storage, where do they get onto that property for that? Do they go in between the laneway there? There's two, it looks like a laneway between two houses. Is that where they would access the shop?
Madam Chair, on page 160, on the north, just south of 52nd Ave, there is a laneway there, and that would be where they would access the parcel.
And then where in, I guess I'm just trying to figure out where on this map is the light industrial set for? Where is that zone on this map? I'm just so confused as how come there is a light industrial zoning on this property, but we can't utilize it? Or they can't utilize it, not us, they.
The light industrial section is in the middle of this property, and they currently don't have access down there. So if you look on page 160, there's lot 1 in the middle of, sort of the middle of the page is lot 1, block 2, plan 5177 NY. There is no public access in there anywhere to get to the middle of what is the remnant of northeast of 36.
But, okay, we have commercial off of Range Road 170.5A, if I'm not mistaken. There is commercial in that area. So would they not be able to come off of Range Road 170A? I guess I'm just concerned as well about where we're at, proximity we are in a neighborhood of a shop that size, that tall, with that type of equipment, when there's commercial on the south end of that parcel.
Madam Chair, this was the applicant's,
request.
I could only speak to that. This was their desires to kind of tuck it in the northwest corner because that's where their property is located in the residential area. So it would be ideal for them to have that constant surveillance of their shop and the stuff around it.
Right. Okay, no, understood. I mean, I know there's commercial down on the southern side that also has, very many hours of service that they apply, and I haven't heard of any issues for security there. Okay, I don't think I have. I guess there would be the site grading and drainage would be considered, and the fuel tank, environmental would be considered, and parking requirements, all those things.
So all of those things will come, the development permit will come directly to council. If we move forward with this strategy, the development permit will come directly to council. Council can then weigh in on access and height and all of those things, drainage. If council wants to have some screening to the nearby residential area, we can talk about those things at the council level, once we have a development permit application.
Okay.
Until we get through these preliminary steps to amend the area structure plan so that we can actually do the rezoning. Once those steps are completed, then we can actually accept a development permit for this. And then the idea of a direct control is then that development permit comes directly to, of course, we'll put together recommendations, but then that development permit actually comes directly to council, and council can weigh into on all of those things.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hall, and then Councillor Chamsick.
So I think, folks, we've got a common sense solution to a problem. We have a ratepayer and a resident who wants to build an oversized garage near where they live, potentially, if they ever give us a development permit. But the real question is, how do we permit that kind of building? And direct control is the best way to do it because it provides for 0 permitted uses. Council controls everything that goes on there. And if you do any other kind of zoning, anything that's in the permitted uses is must be authorized as a right. So this allows us to say, yes, you can have a garage to store your truck inside and nothing else can happen there. It's the best solution for this spot. You know, it's unlikely to pose a conflict. If you look at where it sits on the map, I mean, the neighbors are in support of it. There's farmland adjacent to it. You know, we're starting to talk about shops and fuel tanks, and none of that is part of this decision. This is land that's also otherwise unlikely to be developed. And I think that once in a while, we have to take a minute and look at the circumstances and say, this just makes sense in this circumstance, in the context of the whole village. And if this is where the landowner wants to put his shop, who are we to really push it around? So I would be happy to move the recommended motions of giving first reading to the bylaw 011, 012, and to direct administration to schedule the public hearings. Like this is the solution to a problem, to let somebody build a little shop behind their what's almost a country residential lot.
Thank you, Councillor DeHollock.
Well, knowing the resident, knowing his history, knowing what he's done for the community and for the county, I have to support what he's doing. He's probably a little smarter man than me, and yeah, I'm going to support this project or this subdivision.
Thank you. Has administration looked at the site and what's currently going on there?
Is that relevant to the decision?
Well, yes, I guess it's relevant in the fact that because we would move it to direct control. Council would then have the ability to make the decision what goes on there. That's this council. The next council might have a totally different idea. The next council after that, once again, might have a totally different idea. We don't have compliance officers. So unless you receive a complaint, things aren't going to, how do we know that things are going to be as what we set them out to be? When you mention that there's neighbors in the letters here that are in support, when you go through and actually look at where the letters are from, I think there might be a few in the hamlet. The rest are from outside the hamlet. So we're not getting a clear picture of actual neighbors that are impacted there. So of course, you know, I would love to see a public hearing for sure on that as well. My other concern is there's already, why is there zoning 3 different zones if it's not being able to be utilized? Doesn't make sense to me. And I know in other areas, again, this is council's decision, when we need to ask someone to provide access to their development, that's up on them to build a road to it. And when we already have that on their particular parcel that sticks, that's mainly, by the looks of it, sits around what's already considered commercial, moving it into an industrial, or moving such an industrial type trucks going through the roadways, the current streets, it really impacts largely the look of the hamlet when commercial is further south. So I struggle with it. Just because we're dealing with one particular person who wants to have something beside his house rather than on his property where it's zoned, where it would fit. I struggle with it a little bit. It's an easy thing, but it makes a big change to the rest of the neighborhood and the hamlet. And I have to think about the hamlet rather than just one person. So that's why I have the questions. So, Councillor Chamzik?
I just want some clarification. Does the direct control with the whatever conditions and stuff we put in, that doesn't roll with the land, does it? If he sells?
Madam Chair, members of council, we can make it specific to the use. And then that would also kind of limit expanding anything like, say, commercial uses in that shop or something like that. It could be whatever conditions we want to put on it, as long as they are, proper planning considerations, we can impose as conditions on that permit.
Okay, anybody else? Councillor Stacey?
Through the chair, I've reviewed this extensively over the last few days, and I've highlighted several areas here. To start with, on the diagram on page 160, I see a street that's on the closer to the top of the page that this particular parcel would directly block off. Now, at one point in time, there was a community structure plan put in place here, and I would assume that was supported by a community. There was probably extensive input into it from the residents. And then it was finally approved. And then in 2022, some sort of a proposal came into play where somebody that applied was rejected for something either similar or whatever. And it was rejected for whatever reason, I'm not sure, but I would assume that it's because it contravenes the area or the community structure plan in this case. There's a street there specifically for future development. And so if this here was for something similar to like a convenience store or perhaps even a service station, something like that, I wouldn't have as much of a problem with it. But when we start using the direct control district and have some sort of regret at a later date because of the building is there, we're not moving it, I don't know that I'm in favor of this. I don't like the idea of future development. Like, it would change the development in that particular area. Those people that possibly could be moving in there for residential reasons, I'm not sure that they're going to be happy with the building being there or the ramifications of that business that's going to be there. We don't know. We have no idea whether it'll be noisy, whether there'll be trucks and equipment just left there on the lot, because it's a fair sized lot. Now on page 157, second paragraph points out the purpose of a hamlet residential district is to allow for a range of residential and compatible, and I stress compatible, uses within the county's designated hamlets. The aim is to enhance, and I stress that as well, the small town character and the quality of life provided by those communities. By putting this building here is certainly not enhancing the residential side of the community. It might be enhancing an industrial promotion. Now, we do have industrial allocations along the south, or I guess it would be the east side of that. And in the picture on 165, I see some buildings there, so I don't know if these parcels are fully occupied or not, but I think there's room in a more appropriate place for that type of a structure. I would like to see the hamlet grow in terms of residential there, because that's what it was designed for. So I'm a bit reluctant to go to direct control, because that once it's there, based on the direct control policy, it's pretty tough to remove it. So sorry to say, but I can't approve it. I can't accept this. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Councillor Capitani. You're on mute.
I got it. So I guess my thought process right now is, number one, we don't see major growth in hamlets. If anything, we're seeing decline in our population. Young people are going to cities and jobs are elsewhere, but that's neither here nor there. My gut says that we need to help people who already live here succeed instead of putting excessive rules and regulations on them, so that either forces them to move to another community or shows that if you move to Athabasca, as to quote Councillor Hall, we're closed for business. Controlling, I guess that having direct control is the best measure that could likely be put in place. But just to say, no, you can't build there, it's like, we need to care about the people that already live here. I don't know where else to go with that. It just doesn't feel right for me.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hall, then Councillor or Deputy Mins and Councillor Stacey.
I think we also need to consider, this is to go to first reading so that we can then hear from the community. Why wouldn't we want to hear from the people who are actually impacted instead of making a bunch of assumptions about what may or may not be going on there now or in the future? We can defeat second reading, we can defeat third reading, but to not have the respect for this individual to take it to first reading and to have a public hearing is a really terrible signal for us to send. I heard a couple of things that I think are not the case. There is no street. There's a street that touches the property and stops. There is no future street there. There's no road allowance in there. That street ends there. The likelihood that this property is going to be developed in our lifetime is low beyond this stuff, I'm sure. And, we've not seen a lot of development in the last few years. Why would we get in the way of someone who wants to invest money? The rejection in 2022 was about asking for a land use classification that was absolutely incompatible with long-term uses. When you change land use classification, as we learned at the Brownlee seminar and before, if you make it M1, anything that's on the permitted uses for M1 becomes a right to be approved if they ask for a development permit. And that I think at the time was a mistake, because it would allow one thing to occur, but then the next week you could get a bulk fuel station or a B station or something else. Direct control provides the ability to thread that needle of helping the resident to achieve what they're looking for, but also maintains control in the county so that we don't end up with something we can't control and uses that are incompatible. And as far as I can see from all of this, there has been absolutely no request to run businesses out of there. And, having been talked to by this ratepayer in the past, they're not asking to run a business. They're asking for a storage space for trucks that they're already parking around the house. So I would urge us to at least go to first reading so we can have the public input that we should take, so that we're not making assumptions, but we can make decisions that are really based on the best interests of that community. And again, it's not growing at this point in time in any real way. The last question I had was for admin, and that was if that residential lot had been bigger. Just suppose it was hypothetically larger and large enough for a large garage to be put on it. Would the addition of a garage be allowed? Because my understanding is the problem is this is an accessory building, and you can't add an accessory building on that land as it's currently zoned because there's no primary building.
Madam Chair, members of council, that's correct.
So if he had a house on it, this would be a done deal. And instead his house is beside it on a different title, and we're turning ourselves over into knots on whether we should allow a garage or not. Are we closed for business or are we open for business? I don't know.
Thank you for that. As you mentioned, it's correct for an accessory building, but is the height restriction there? So that's where we really have to look at that. 36 feet, I don't think we have a whole lot of properties that allow a 36-foot high building. I'm pretty sure that might be discretionary.
I think a 2-story house would be 36 feet, like once you get the peak in. And I mean, if I had the ambition, I would go measure mine when I go home today. And my guess is that it's pretty close when you get to the peak of the roof.
Madam Chair, it looks like in the HR district, that must be HR.
Yeah.
My living room is 42 feet, just so you know.
The maximum dwelling height is 9.1 meters at 30 feet.
Okay.
So a dwelling is allowed to be 30 feet in the HR. Accessory buildings, only 24 feet, so 7.3.
Okay. So yeah, that would definitely be something then I would want to look at in the direct control aspect of things. Thank you. And as you also mentioned, it would just be a storage building, but when we look at one of the letters, it's allowing the business to continue growing and expanding business capacity. So it's not storage. That's not just storage. That highlighted and, you know, struck it for me right away, what exactly is going to happen there. I'm not sure, but anyway, where are we at? Anybody else? Oh, sorry, Deputy Reed Mins, sorry. You're good.
I guess I'm just gonna pipe in here and just say, we're not closed for business. I hate it when people actually say that we're closing ourselves for business and everything. What we're doing is we've just redistricted a lot to the west that they could build a huge shop and bring trucks in and all this other stuff. And now all of a sudden we're gonna allow a huge shop to be built to the south now and block any access to that, to the rest of that a lot, other than coming in from the south end. So I don't think we're closed for business. I think we're just protecting the people that we have around in there. And yeah, it's bringing for third reading, but please stop saying that we're closed for business, because we're not.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Stacey.
Through the chair, in terms of Councillor Kapitaniuk, I agree with you that we have to look after our residents, and the houses that are adjacent to this definitely are our residences as well.
Thank you.
And I add that, you know, we talk about what might happen in the future. It's our decision to make good decisions right now. We can't rule from the grave. The prior council could have voted this in as M1 and we'd be stuck with that. And they, I think, made a decent decision and said that's, you know, unsuitable. You can't rule from the grave. We've got to make a decision that's right for what we're being asked right now. And again, direct control allows very particular uses, and there's a tremendous amount of power in that land use classification. And I can't think of a better way to accomplish this to create a space for this guy to park trucks and keep them warm so that he can carry on with his livelihood.
No, I appreciate that. And again, you know, there is space currently zoned for that on the property that he owns. So it's not as if he doesn't have the space there. You know, I just really questioned the current location and how it impacts where the other property owners live. And when you mention, you know, if the prior council's decisions are not our decisions, of course, but they also approved an area structure plan or a community plan that we would have to amend to accept this. So obviously they were very cautious in what they wanted to see in that community at that time. Again, you know, first reading allows for public hearing and allows to hear from the community, which I think is also extremely important as well. We all have our feelings on this, but until we hear from how all the residents surrounding the parcel feel, I mean, that's important as well. Councillor Tahalik.
Yeah, probably nobody knows the situation as much as I do, or the resident as much as I do. He's always been active and always fair, and I'm willing to make a motion for first reading.
Okay. Is there any
that motion's already on the table if anyone was listening earlier?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember. Sorry.
And I'm sure it was Councillor Tahalik, this was, you had given that originally. If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't anybody else, right? It was you originally who gave that motion to give first reading? Yes?
It was Mr. Hall.
Was it Mr. Hall? I couldn't remember because we've been around. Was it Councillor Hall? Okay, thank you. So do we have any further discussion on this, folks?
I'd like to have a recorded vote, please.
Yeah, well, we can do that. We can.
You can record every vote.
We can just put it in the procedural bylaw. All right, folks, if we're ready for the question to give first reading of, we're going to do this two separately. To give first reading of bylaw 011-2026 land use bylaw amendment for redistricting as per Schedule A from Hamlet Residential to direct control. and of course, regulate the uses described in Schedule B and assign council as a development authority for the uses and regulations decided upon. If we're ready for that particular first reading question, all those
Sorry,
in favor?
did you catch that I asked for a recorded vote?
Yep,
Oh,
written it
sorry,
down.
I didn't know if I was on. Thank you.
Yep, you're on. Okay. If we're ready for that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Counselor DeHolick, are you in favor of first reading?
Yes.
Yes. I believe we have Counselor DeHolick, Counselor Chisholm, Counselor Chamzik, Deputy Reeve Mins, Reeve Holland, Counselor Callahan, Counselor Kapitanic, and I believe Counselor Hall. Yes, first reading, Counselor Hall.
More than once I've said yes.
Sorry, didn't catch it all. Trying to keep track of everybody's hands. Thank you. And any opposed? Counselor Stasiak, thank you. We have a to give first reading for secondary bylaw 012-2026. Counselor, is that both yours, Counselor Hall, as well, or is?
I had initially moved all three of those motions that
Okay, thank
you
you.
decided to split. So, yep.
Okay, so we are going to give first reading of bylaw
Recorded vote, sorry, of all three, but this one too.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that. Thank you.
I know, but I have to say it, or someone does.
To give first reading of bylaw 012-2026 area structure plan amendment to include section 5.7 direct control policies as per Schedule A, change part of Northeast 3671-17 west of the 4th in the hamlet of Wandering River Community Plan from low density hamlet residential to direct control as per Schedule B. Does everybody have that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Counselor Capitania, Counselor Hall, Counselor
Aye.
Callahan. Me, Deputy, no, okay, Reeve Holland, Counselor Chamzik. Counselor DeHolick, no. Okay. I don't even know how many that was. Can we hold our hands up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that passes. And those opposed? Counselor Chisholm. Counselor DeHolick, you're opposed? Deputy Reeve Mins. Counselor Stasiak. I think that's everybody. That passes by 4. We have one more motion here to direct administration to schedule and advertise the public hearing on March 12th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. for bylaws 011-2026 and 012-2026. Who would like to own the motion? Counselor Stasiak would like to own that.
That motion was made at the beginning, Tracy.
We kind of split it when we did the first
But
and
when you split it, you don't go finding three new people to keep making them. Like if we want to wildly vary from the procedural bylaw, that's fine. But the original motion was to move all three components.
we did it twice separately, so we're going to move to the third one. Thank you. Counselor Stasiak would like to direct administration to schedule and advertise the public hearing on March 12th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. for bylaws 11-26 and 12-2026. All those in favor?
Yes.
Capitania, yes.
Yes.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. 9-0. Item 6.4, bylaw 013-2026, Development Authority, Subdivision Authority, and Municipal Planning Commission, and bylaw 014-2026, text amendments to land use bylaw, page 193 of your agenda package. The recommendation is to give first reading for both those bylaws and advertise for the public hearing. I'll turn it over to administration. Ms. McConnell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. You received a report from administration at your last committee of the whole with respect to these bylaws. And at that time, council was in favor of consolidating the Development Authority, the Subdivision Authority, and the Municipal Planning Commission under one bylaw. The only area that council had concerns with was the Variance Authority. And so that has been amended, and the current bylaw before you reflects what is currently in the planning document. So that would not be a change by adopting the bylaws. The one bylaw 014-2026, it is a text amendment to the land use bylaw, which would refer to the Development Authority, Subdivision Authority, and Municipal Planning Commission bylaw for the different types of powers and authorities. And because it is an amendment to the land use bylaw, we would have to hold a public hearing. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Does council have any questions? Councillor Chambliss. Do you want to do for all three? Yeah, I mean the motions on the recommendation, okay. Anybody else? Any questions before we go? Okay, Councillor Stasiak.
The chair, just for clarifications, what does this mean to the planning commission, the development authorities and so on? Are we all still meeting as a group, or does this divert the approval just to one body?
Madam Chair, members of council, the Municipal Planning Commission will continue to meet and will continue to be the development authority for applications that require a variance or requesting, I should say, a variance over 10%, and will continue to be the subdivision authority exclusively. And administration will maintain the current authorities for development.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I don't see any. Councillor Hall?
I would propose an amendment that we replace the words 10% with 50% at every place they occur in that bylaw before it goes out. And
would we not have to?
The reason is, if we want to be a development-friendly municipality, we need to reduce red tape, not perpetuate it. Council should not be micromanaging the experts that our CAO hires. We've heard Councillor Min say at the committee of the whole meeting that after being to many municipal MPC meetings, council typically agrees with admin. We should be making data-driven decisions, and the data demonstrates conclusively that MPC adds no value in these circumstances to these variance requests. We've seen this in past admin reports, and it's time that we got rid of bureaucratic delay and delegate this to the experts. It's 2026. Council should be focusing on our actual priorities and not, and eliminating unnecessary red tape so that we have more time to focus on things that matter. I think we need to trust the administration.
Thank you, Deputy Reid Mins, and then Councillor Chambliss.
Yeah, we discussed this at the committee of the whole, and the bylaws, what's come out of the committee of the whole, and to move to county council, and we had this whole discussion and everything. So I think for us to say that we're not we're causing problems in that, I don't think so. I think we could move this bylaw and let's go.
Thank you, Councillor Chambliss.
Yeah, I kind of feel silly, but at first I thought he said 15%. But I agree, it was well discussed at the committee of the whole, and I am ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure there's nobody else who would like to weigh in. I agree. We did discuss this at the committee of the whole. We did the poll. We decided that 10% would stay, but we will go ahead and vote on the amendment. I didn't write it down, Councillor Hall. If you could please repeat your amendment.
To replace the words 10% with 50% at every place they occur in the attached bylaws.
So replace the words 10% with 50%. I think we have the gist. Ms. Plurd, did you get all of that? Okay, thank you. So we will go ahead and vote on the amendment, please. All those in favor to change the words from 10% to 50%. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
2 and opposed. 7, the amendment fails. Thank you. If there's any further discussion, we will go to the first reading. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Councillor Chambliss would like to move that we give bylaw 013-2026 first reading, bylaw 014-2026 first reading, and to direct administration to schedule and advertise a public hearing for bylaw 14-2026 and March 12th, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. March 12th. If we're ready for that question, all those in favor? We have the room that's 7 in favor. Do we have any opposed?
Nay.
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 No.
7 and 2. Thank you very much. We are going on to a break. We will take a 10-minute recess, please, and return at 1:46. From our recess, we are at item 7.2, which is the Boyle Greater Beat Area. Page 210 and 211 of your agenda package. We have a recommendation here that the county council approve a budget reallocation of 310,000 to facilitate the creation of additional county-operated grader beat to replace the expired contractor grader beat, and that the county council approve the addition of a full-time position of grader operator to facilitate this change in municipal operations. Hi, welcome. Would you like to speak on the recommendation, please?
I guess just that it does result in a full-time position, and it actually has no net impact on the current budget. It's just a transfer of funds from contract services to wages and fuel and materials and supplies.
Thank you very much. Do we have any conversation on this?
Pardon me, I thought it was Mr. Hall that called for this.
No, I didn't write it down, but if you'd like to speak on it, Councillor Hall?
Well, I did add it to the agenda specifically to ask, with the contract graders, they provided their own equipment. So if we're adding this, does this mean that we will now or at some time in the future need to buy an additional grader?
Through the chair, yes, it will impact our overall fleet management. Currently, we would have been sending out 2 graders for replacement this year or for sale. We're still purchasing 2, but we'll have to hold 1 back. And at some point, we will have to purchase an additional grader. Again, you know, that money would have been included in the contract services thing. So over time, you know, it would still fund itself, but it's going to take some time
Before it pays for itself. Thank you. Okay, okay, Councillor Chamzik and then Councillor Stasiak.
Well, that's good to hear that eventually that would help with funding operations. All right, this is very small thing. I was just wondering if we can change greater beat just to greater area. Just keeping consistent with language, I feel is really important. Sorry.
Just because you're referring to the different greater areas. Got it. Okay, yep. Okay, Councillor Stasiak, thank you.
Just for clarification, can you bring me up to speed? The way I understand this when I read it is that we've taken a grader out of Boyle, sent it to Wandering River, and now we're replacing something in Boyle, is it?
So through the chair, historically, and I don't for how many years, there was a contracted grader in Wandering River. That contract expired at the end of December and we did not extend it. So at that point, we had the gentleman that was working in the Boyle area move there. It was actually from where he lives, it's a little closer commute for him. And so now we're putting a new operator, looking to hire a full-time operator in the Boyle area to replace that one.
Thank you. That explains it. I was just curious why we wouldn't have left it in Boyle and just hire somebody for up there, but no, that makes sense.
It's about a 20-minute shorter commute
Okay.
for him is what I'm told.
Yep, thanks.
Thank you very much. And Deputy Reedmans.
Did administration knew that this greater contract was coming up? Did you look at possibly for another contract prior to making the decision to hold back this other grader?
Sorry, the question again, did we
look at bringing on another contract?
we internally, we discussed whether or not we go back out to tender for that, or if we felt that it would be a better level of service in-house. And so the decision we came up to was to move it in-house.
One more question. So this grader that we're gonna have in there that we're gonna keep back is not gonna be on warranty then, correct?
Correct.
So now we're actually operating graders without warranty.
We have a number of graders that are not on warranty today.
really think we're starting to fall apart here when we have graders that are off warranty. When I don't know. Again, I'll go back to council work years and years and years to keep our graders under warranty and to keep the progression of 5 years, 7,500 or 8,000 hours. And I know that we used to run them up to where they were maxed out, but to me, it just looks like mismanagement to me. That now we have a grader that we're gonna hold back. We don't even know how long we're gonna hold it back for in this off warranty.
So right now, I guess through the chair, it may have been council's desire to have graders at 5 years, 7,500 hours. That's not the reality. They haven't put that many hours on the grader since I got here last February, that they've been off warranty. It's forced us to have to look at how we're going to manage the overall fleet. There's more hours being put on the graders than what the warranty covers in either a 5-year or a 7-year. So the only way to get around that is, maybe either we have to look at reducing the hours on the graders or add a grader, one of the two, right? To bring the hours down to a point where they're consistent with what we can purchase from a warranty perspective. But that's something that we're going to have to work through because there's more than one that's off warranty.
Yeah, and I understand that, but I guess are we coming up with a plan? We're coming up with a plan to get our graders back on warranty so we can understand what's going on here.
Yes.
It's like, and I understand it's you haven't been here long enough to have, but this has been happening throughout so many years. I've watched this continuously being dismantled, and it's driving me insane. You look at our gravel, you look at our graders. County is graders and gravel, and we're losing it. We are losing our capability of having that, and it's driving me nuts. I just say,
Madam Chair, I don't know, we're pretty close to having a draft 20-year equipment plan, and we'll bring it ahead for discussion. Perfect time. I've been here 2.5 years, and I would have assumed the county would have had a 20-year equipment plan. Can't find it. So we'll bring it ahead. We've got one drafted. You're laughing. Is there one? Well, we can't find it.
yeah,
It was adopted by council?
Yeah, it would go to council. In the Public Works Center. There was a draft. It wasn't a 20-year plan. It was a 10-year plan.
Okay.
Of our equipment, and that's to trading out loaders, cats, packers, all of
Everything.
this because we that's what we had. And again, it's not administration's fault right now, but we need to get a control of what's happening here because I can just see this is a big snowball effect. It just keeps rolling, and it scares the living heck out of me that we got to get ahead of this.
Yeah, when units cost $700,000, you should have a good plan.
Yeah.
Back when they were 140, maybe you could wing it, but they're expensive now.
But back when it was 140, we didn't have what we have now.
No, that's
right?
correct.
We didn't.
Everything's changed.
Yeah, we didn't have a 35 million budget either.
That's right.
So it's like, I don't know. I just had to.
For the last several years, this place, including previous council, has not been following an equipment plan that we can see. They've been making decisions, but there's no overall plan.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
So we can say thank you for bringing a plan forward and appreciate that the work is happening and to bring us back onto that level that we're looking for. Okay, all right, so do we have any further comments, conversation? Okay, the recommendation, would anybody like to own the motion? Counselor DeHolick would like to move that the county council approve a budget reallocation of 310,000 to facilitate the creation of additional county operator greater area to replace the expired contracted greater area, and that county council approve the addition of a full-time position of greater operator to facilitate this change in municipal operations. If we're all ready for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? We have one opposed, 8-4. Thank you.
Sorry, 8-4.
No, 8-1, thank you. Oh, goodness gracious. There. 7.3, the police funding model. We are at page 212 of our agenda package. This is a recommendation here is to accept the report for information, but I think it's important that we discuss this a little bit so that not only for our benefit, but for the public's benefit to kind of understand what's happening here. Did CAO, did you want to mention anything on this report?
Yeah, sure. Madam Chair, this item should be on a council agenda and it should be talked about. Council's got a hard job balancing a budget and providing services to the community and trying to keep their tax increases to a minimum. And sometimes forces from outside council makes you increase the taxes. And this is one of them. It wasn't that long ago that counties didn't pay for policing whatsoever before 2019. And the province came up with the idea that those municipalities that currently don't pay, everyone should pay across the province, including small urbans too. So this affects the town, the village. They want to move to a model where the overall cost of policing, the municipality should pay 30%. So they've been moving us in that direction. They did revise the funding model this year and told us that what our amount will be for this year. So this year, we have to increase by 135,000. And so each year it goes up for the next 5 years. And at that time, and it'll be at 1.4. And that's all they've told us. It's not going to stop. It's not going to plateau at 1.4. So those are big increases. And so we think that council should be aware of it, should talk about it, and maybe we should even be communicating to our public about this. Is there are some increases coming their way that council has no control over. This is one of them. We have been warned that the school tax increase is going to be significant this year, and that's going to show up on people's tax bills. And that, again, council has no control over the school budget. We just have to put it on the tax bill as if it's us. And then we get the phone calls, you get the phone calls, but the increase is not you, that's the province. So I think it's important for the ratepayers, the residents, there's certain things they can be mad at us about, absolutely. And then there's certain things that are beyond our control that we have to pass on the cost.
Right. And I appreciate that and thank you, because it also reiterates that we're not the only one in the province that this is impacting. Other communities are speaking out, and as you had forwarded us an email regarding the town of Mayerthorpe's post, they're looking at a 320% policing cost increase under this new Alberta's new police funding model. So it is scary. Please go ahead, Councillor Hall.
So as a reference point, $700,000 right now is about 2% of our budget. $1.4 million would be 4% of our budget at a $35 million budget. And so I would like to make a motion that we actually council directs administration to include specific detailed literature with the tax notices on this downloading and of police funding, and also to provide information about the education tax. We need, as the CAO said, I kind of got ahead of what I was going to say. We need to do a better job of communicating, and we need to be very clear with our ratepayers of, all this talk from the province about our tax regime and our low cost environment. that some of that is on the backs of municipalities and they're downloading it to us and our ratepayers need to see it clearly. That it's some spending we're in control of as council, like what we subsidize, various services we provide. This is one that we do not have control over, and it guarantees a 2% increase in taxes unless we can find places to cut,
Okay, thank you.
which means reducing services, obviously.
And your motion again was direct administration to,
Include specific detailed literature in the tax notices on this downloading of police funding
thank you.
and clarify the workings of the education tax. You know,
It's on there. Sorry, Councillor DeHollick mentioned what about Greater North? And Greater North is separate column as well, but would you like that included in the letter? Can you use your?
can you put your microphone on? Those of us.
Yeah,
who-
he was
Sorry,
asked,
Brian.
Thank you.
If you're including the education, I think we should include Greater North too.
Well, I think we're including the education and the police funding because they're ones that have had whopping big increases. Greater North has never done that.
But it's on there.
The Greater North is on there. It splits out municipal education, Greater
Yeah.
North.
Oh, I suppose those will increase. Okay, that's just the.
But yeah, it would be great to get an update actually from the Greater North in a report because we really don't know what their budget and whatnot looks like. So that would be great to come from the committee member. Deputy Reed Mintz?
I did hear that and I do provide reports when I have them. So you will get them when I have one.
No, I appreciate that, but I understand the budget was just looking at what the town's reports look like. Go ahead, please, Deputy Reed Mintz.
I guess can we, this is through the chair to admin, can we put this on the tax notices or like what we do with the Greater North?
For clarity, it wasn't to put it on the tax notice. It was to include in the tax notice envelope.
Yeah, thank you. He's asking us a separate question, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madam Chair, we probably we'll talk it over with admin. We'd probably include an insert into the tax notice, or if that's possible. I don't want to say that, just in case our tax clerk isn't watching and has a heart attack. So whatever's easiest for her too, but the point being, it's a great idea to communicate to the residents. But not everything is council's fault for some of the big increases this year. We just have to pass some of them on.
No, thank you very much for that, because I totally agree. It's good. It's good to communicate and let people know where we are sitting all the time. It's not always that it seems like why do we keep collecting these taxes? Well, it's by the government.
Madam Chair, we should see the school requisition on February 28th.
Okay,
So what we'll attempt to do is if you pass the motion today, and that's fine, we'd bring back a report telling you what it looks like. And if there's a problem with how we propose to send a mail out, we'll let you know at that meeting. So we'll bring something to the first meeting in March.
okay, fantastic. No, that's good. That's good to know. And a report being on the agenda is very helpful when we have those phone calls from the public, not only where to direct them to read the report, but that we're able to explain it. Councillor Stasia?
Yeah, this newsletter that we got about a month ago with our pictures on it and stuff, is that a quarterly report?
Yes, Madam Chair, that's previous council adopted a communications strategic plan. And there were some service level increases. That's a new initiative. Apparently, this is not a new initiative. We used to do it many years ago, and then it went away, so we're bringing it back.
I think that if that's a quarterly thing, that would be appropriate to put a little pamphlet in there so that they've got heads up on it and not the day they open their tax notice.
Yeah, but the intent is to have a quarterly newsletter.
Yeah, so I think probably a great idea to give them the heads up starting as soon as the next one comes out.
I agree wholeheartedly. I was just going to ask the same thing, if we could do both, not only the newsletter, but as well as the tax notices, I think.
Just by the way, the rumblings I heard at RMA was 10% for the school side.
Yeah, 8 to 10, we heard. Yeah, absolutely. All right, is there anyone else who would like to weigh in on this? I believe the motion that Councillor Hall, and please correct me if I'm wrong, would be to direct administration to include specific details on the tax notices for the education and police, education tax and the police funding model. May we add to that with, if it's with council's and Councillor Hall's permission, the quarterly newsletter?
I'm indifferent. Better communication is always important.
Okay, so we can, if it's unanimous to, if everybody's okay with that, we don't need to make an amendment. We can just make that a friendly addition to the motion for directing administration to include specific details on the tax notices and the next quarterly report regarding the education tax and the police funding model increase.
Madam Chair, can I ask you to say at the discretion of administration? Like, we'll do one of them, but I don't want to go back to my staff and then they say, we can't do that, we have to do this. Then I have to come back and ask you to amend the motion.
Okay.
So we'll do something and we'll let council know what that's going to be.
Okay. Does that work for everybody? We're adding at the discretion of administration on the end of that motion. Thank you, CAO. If we're ready for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you very much. That is item 7.3 done and dusted. We are moving to 8.1, which is the correspondence from the Aspen View School, Rochester School. I'm going to try that again. Correspondence from Aspen View Public Schools, Rochester School, page 244 of your agenda package. Councillor Captain or Councillor Chanzik, I always go through, right?
Yeah, no, I just want council to know that the Athabasca County Library Board will be having a meeting on February 23rd, and this topic will be on the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. February 23rd meeting. The recommendation here, Councillor Chanzik, would you like to go? As recommended, that council accept the notice of lease termination of Rochester Community Library as information. If we're ready for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Are there any opposed? 9 and 0, thank you.
So on this subject, is it possible to ask administration who the division is legally required to send the notice to?
We just completed this motion for this topic. So it's just to accept the notice of lease termination for the Rochester Community Library as information.
You know, when I looked at the lease about a year ago, and I stand to be corrected, I think the lease was between the library board and Aspen View, and it was not with the county. And I think Councillor Chamzak is nodding. I think we both read it at the same time. I thought it was with us, but it's actually with the library board.
Sure, we'll just go outside of that, sure.
Yeah, this is nothing to do with this, but is there a point in time where if there is interest in developing some sort of a library in Rochester, when is the appropriate time, if there's interest at all? Because I don't want to wait till day 364 to say, oh, geez, we better build a library.
I think if I'm not mistaken, that will be discussed with the library board level. They're a different legislative body.
Explain.
They're a legislative body of their own, so they'll be discussing it at their February 23rd meeting and bringing back recommendations, I'm assuming. Am I over speaking here?
We're hoping so.
Yes.
So you're going to build one?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? You're going to build a library? Build the library?
Well.
No, I was under the assumption that the county was participating. Am I wrong?
We have to, it's a legislative board for the
Oh.
library, so they will be bringing the discussion forward.
I see, okay.
Yeah. Is that okay? We're good now? All right, folks, we're moving on to 8.2, which is the event calendars. This was an addition to our agenda, so I'm not giving you a page number. Does anybody have any events that they would like to bring forward for this?
You
don't. Councillor Capitania.
March 28th, the Collington Community Club will be hosting an everything flea market at the Collington Hall. And you can get in touch with Collington board members that also include myself and Leanne Joyce if you would like a table. So it can be almost anything except live animals. And that'll be from 11 until 3 p.m. Saturday, March 28th. Collington Flea Market.
Perfect. And there's also the Family Day events in Collington, correct? This weekend coming?
Yes, that is being hosted by the Collington Seniors Club, and I do believe they have some social media advertisements for Wiener roast, floor curling, all kinds of activities, indoor and outdoor. They're prepared for all weather.
That's fantastic. Is that the 15th, the 6th? I couldn't remember the date.
Monday, I believe, is the 16th.
16th. Okay. So yeah, that sounds like fun for the family in Collington. And that's awesome that they're doing that. Councillor Callahan, please.
So obviously it's already here, bingo at Richmond Park Hall, 2 p.m. on Family Day. I would like to add March 27th, 28th, and 29th is Pucks for Paws at the multiplex. There'll be curling, hockey, corn, what do they call it? Cornhole, whatever, and other ways to raise money for SCARS.
That's fantastic for SCARS. So the 27th, 28th, and 29th at the multiplex.
Correct.
SCARS fundraiser. Come out
Yes.
and have fun. Okay.
Yeah, of March.
Awesome, of March. All right. Anybody else? All right, we have a motion on to, who's going to take it? Councillor Callahan would like to move that we receive the February and March 2026 event calendars as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, 9-0. We're going to move to the councillor meeting calendar 8.3, another addition that we had. I know it's February and March, but I'm just going to give Ms. Plurd a heads up. Our September 14th, it will be the next Pembina Zone District meeting. Just so that council is aware, it has been decided to go to 2 meetings a year rather than 4, and that they be prior to the RMAs to make sure we get all the resolutions out there and ready to go. And then we have a tentative, it's going to be NAGO, so Northern Alberta, Northeast Alberta. I'm just going to go NAGO, N-A-A-G-O, April 9th in Vegreville. And we have Councillor Callahan who's hand up.
So on the 23rd, the county library at 6 p.m. That meeting was dismissed there. And on March 17th, I think it might be a typo because I thought we moved the committee of the whole to the following week, and it's showing that we have one each Tuesday.
I'm looking at the wrong. Okay.
Yeah, I think that the 17th of March for committee of the whole just needs to be deleted.
Did we? Oh, yes, we moved committee of the whole March 17th to 24th. So I'm just catching up here. March 24th rather than March 17th. Thank you. Councillor or Deputy Binns, pardon me.
Okay, I'm going to open this up. We were talking about, we tabled the day meeting for dust control.
Correct.
Or dust suppression, as we're supposed to call it. Why, now that we're losing our meeting with Lac-La-Biche County and everybody was ready to hop on that bandwagon, that bus, why don't we do that day?
Love it.
February 18th for dust suppression meeting.
For a special meeting, dust suppression.
Yep.
February 18. Look good for everybody since we were already planning to be somewhere. It's okay for you, Councillor Capitanic and Councillor Hall?
Yeah, sounds good.
RNA webinar.
I'll write it on the calendar.
Thank you. That's a webinar, 2 p.m. that RMA is putting on. It's
Yeah, that's good.
18th. So shall we set a time, folks, for 9:30 a.m.?
CEO Beck. I would just mention that being that we lost our meeting with Lac-La-Biche County, maybe to have that special council meeting regarding dust control on the 18th.
Yeah, Madam Chair, that would work. I mean, it's not much more for us to present the materials, just
Yeah,
does everyone rest up? And
We'll set up.
it's the same materials, right? So we could do it.
Okay, so special meeting, folks,
9:30,
9:30.
yeah.
Dust suppression conversation.
Mhm.
I think we'll just leave it to that standalone. We're not gonna add anything to that, I hope. But, that is council's discretion. I just strongly encourage us to stick to one for that one, for that date. Does anybody else have, yep, Councilor Chisholm?
On Tuesday, the 17th, I have the Boyle Library meeting. I believe at 6 o'clock. And then on February 20th, the Rural Women's Conference meeting, our closeout is at 10 a.m.
And just on that note, there has been a lot of great feedback from the conference. Well done. And I see you're already planning in February 20th, close her up and start her up again for the next year. So there was a lot of happy people and a lot of happy faces, and I'm hearing wonderful things about it. So well done to the whole committee. Councilor Chamblick.
Just two possible IMC meetings depending
Yes.
on CAOs, one on February 25th, and then the other one would be March 25th as well. And I'm not sure, maybe perhaps Mr. Minns or Mr. Hall can correct me, but I thought the March 10th meeting might have moved to the March 3rd. Am I correct?
I think you're right.
The water meeting should be the 3rd instead of the
Yeah, I never marked it in my calendar.
So from March 10th to March 3rd is the ARWSC? Yes, okay. So
Yes,
that moves
because
there.
the reason that is because our manager was going to be gone on a course, so we moved that. Thank you for that.
Okay. The IMC, now you had mentioned, what was the date, February 25th?
And March 25th, possible dates.
Okay, possible dates. So which one, for the town or for Boyle or
It
both?
would, I'm
All
only
Boyle?
a set aside for Boyle.
Setting for Boyle. Okay, so tentative for February 25th for Boyle and March 25th for Boyle. IMC, that's county and Boyle, for folks who are wondering. Do you have a time? 9:30, 10? Do you have a time? 9:30. And then we have the town and the county IMC. Where's everybody sitting for that one? I guess our committee members. Multiplex, Green North. I'm just trying to look for a date that's open here. Committee closed. MPC. We're looking at the 4th or, the 5th is only, Lordy. We have a very busy calendar. March 10th, if it's moved, one of your meetings are moved, it's March 10th work? Does that work for you?
20th or the 27th?
Sorry?
The 20th or the 27th, 2nd, 9th,
Are
13th?
you talking of in February?
Well, the first two could be February and the next one's March.
20th is no good for me. The
No good for
20th,
me.
the 27th is no good.
Yeah, I'll also, that's why I didn't kind of go into the February, because I'm tapped on February now, but the first week of March, we can choose the 3rd, or not the 3rd, pardon me, this, the 10th of March, I guess it would be, the 9th or the 10th of March.
What about the 2nd?
The 2nd, yep, the 2nd, I think, just hang on, I gotta check something. I can't do the 9th, come to think of it.
The 10th would work.
March 2nd I can do. Can you do March 2nd? Counselor Hall, March 2nd?
You guys just pick it, and as usual, I will adjust my calendar.
Okay,
Perfect. March 2nd. it
March
is.
2nd it is. And we're hosting?
I believe it's our turn. I'll pitch that date to the town.
Okay, 9:30? Okay. That's tentative, folks, so far. I got, all right, that's in my, anybody else? Counselor DeHoe?
I got the landscape advisory group on the on March 12th, so I'll be missing council. And it's in Edmonton at the Sheraton. So I'm probably gonna be needing accommodation. It's at 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever. So, but I'll let you know where. And
Is that through LPAC?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, is there anybody else? May I have a motion?
I'll move to
Deputy-
receive the calendars for information.
Oh, Deputy Reed Mins beat ya. So we will receive this February and March calendars as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And do we have any opposed? 9-0, thank you. Alrighty, we are moving to in close. May I have a motion to go into close, please? Counselor Chamsick would like to go into close. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? 9-0, we are officially going into close, but I would like to take at least a how many minute recess? All right, we've just come out of closed session. We have two motions to go through. The item 12.1, Deputy Reed Mins would like to move that council pass the following motions. That council accepts the Baptiste Lake Fire Club's request to join Athabasca County Fire Services and directs administration to begin the regionalization process with club leadership. And that council authorizes administration to enter into discussions with the summer villages of South Baptiste, West Baptiste, Sunset Beach, Whispering Hills, Island Lake, and Island Lake South relating to the Baptiste Lake Fire Department as discussed and closed. If we're ready for the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
And do we have any opposed? 8-0, thank you. And item 12.2, Councillor Chamsick would like to move that County Council agrees with the request from Alberta TrailNet regarding Athabasca Landing Trail relocation plan for Southeast 316422 west of the 4th for the Minooka to Perryville segment. If we're all ready for the question, all those in favor? And opposed?
Nay.
1, 7, and 1. And with that, I believe we can adjourn our meeting at 3:35 PM. Thank you, folks, for joining us today.